master of the mind game. Whispers your downfall, you don't even know his name. Silk tongue, steel trap, every word a blade. The sweet talk, you're right into your grave. Call deadly, A-L-E-S-S-I. Just weapon, pays the decree. Sweet word, sharp turn, now you're down on the floor. Brain buster hits and you ain't getting up no more. Call deadly, A-L-E-S-S-I. Logic's his weapon, pain's the decree. Sweet word, sharp turn, now you're down on the floor. Brain buster hits and you ain't getting up no more. He don't yell, he persuades. He don't fight, he invades. Step in the ring and you'll understand. This ain't brawn, this is chess, play my hand. Call deadly, A-L-E-S-S-I. I'm logic like TNT. He'll outthink, out of the making regret. One brain buster later and you're losing that bet.
Hello all and welcome back to the afternoon show, and I will be joined with my co-host as soon as they're done eating. I don't know how people can be that stupid online. But I believe a good start for the defense in the morning. I have an echo? There shouldn't be an echo. Hey, Donna. I don't have any other audio on anywhere, so hopefully it goes away. I have Court TV's annoying jingle in my ears. That's everything. But I think the morning went well. It's a good witness. More of a reverb. I don't know what to do about that. But no echo and rumble. Might need to refresh your window then. But oh, that turned all the way yellow. It's clear that at least this witness, and we know Dr. Wolf and we know Dr. Brensler, are eons beyond what the Commonwealth could get for $400,000. Confident, to the point, not falling for any of the BS that he tried to pull up in his cross-examination, where he kind of was trying to say, hey, you guys, you didn't do anything. No, he's there to rebut your witness. He doesn't need to go out and do independent searching. He's just calculating the same numbers your guys used, and he's actually doing what your guys should have done. Make multiple different scenarios by putting in different variants. Your guys, they went and said, we need this guy here on the lawn at and about this time. Can we make it fit? And then they went backwards. That's not what a crash reconstructionist is supposed to do. They're supposed to say, okay, we have 216 pounds, 7 feet off the roadway. We have a car that's backing up. At what point and what does the injuries to the car tell you? When all they have is he was hit by a car because the tail light was broken. You don't have anything. It doesn't make no sense.
Did we start early, or did I think 2 o'clock? Oh, we always start a little earlier. Sorry,
we always start early because we need to get people in here so we're ready to sit here and wait for the 30 minutes it takes to get ready.
Mucho. I don't know. I'm on Friday time.
In another chat, there's some idiot that says because Peggy thinks Karen is guilty, they should convict. I've seen people who claim because there's so much obvious guilt in this case, why is she even putting on a case? Well, it's her right. Even if Karen Reed
Yeah.
is all the guilty in the world, the
Yeah.
Fifth, the Sixth, the 13th, I think, amendments gives her the right to defend herself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, this is innocent before guilty goes for, even though I hate it, the people I don't like and the people I like. So, I have to, in my mind, with Sarah Boone, still say the state has to prove it.
Hey, Trial Junkie.
Hey.
Hey, Crystal. But no, and I don't like. I'm trying to, and it's hard, but I'll try to evaluate Brennan as fairly as possible. I don't like that the first thing he does is well, you didn't do your homework. This guy has an impeccable background, a
Yeah,
CV that isn't made up. And
it
the
does.
first thing you actually did was disparage your own experts.
It does seem like a weird thing to, again, focus on and try to denigrate when your witness, at least the witness in particular that you're trying to shine up like a turd, was so incredibly bad that it's not a good look, especially when he has such the pedigree he has. Now, if he had said, yeah, I did, certification for 3 days, and he's comparing apples to oranges. Yes, his expert has a certification that you get after attending a seminar and paying money. Whereas this man went to school and basically wrote books on what he did. Yes, and it goes back to the same thing. Like all doctors are doctors, and then you subspecialize in neuroscience. The telecomatics, or whatever we want to call it, he subdivided into that. So him coming up like, well, you don't understand. You're just a, do below. He's such a douche.
I shouldn't have
I
pulled that one up.
Yeah, you should have. That was awesome.
now to give Hank his credit, I think he is, as much as he's adding comments, he is not being the petulant 14-year-old girl that I expected.
Give
Now,
him time, Mo.
I do expect it on recross, because when
Don't be
Jackson
shy.
shreds when Jackson shreds all of his points, he is going to be pissed because Jackson understands and speaks this language. He doesn't.
No.
I think that "don't be shy" comment was way below the belt. You don't say that to an expert.
It was
Well,
weird.
yeah, and again, it implies that this expert was trying to hide things when he has basically said this entire time, every time you ask him something, yes, I just looked at the math that was in the report. Well, did you think it was pretty awesome? Because I thought it was pretty awesome that he found that SD card. I mean, I'm super serial.
And Carla, the reason why it said don't put a link in there is because you had two words that wasn't you had a punctuation mark and then you didn't leave a space after. It'll read it as a link. Nightbot isn't that good. I based this off of Sachs Intelligence.
And
Yeah, even Daryl Brooks was allowed to put on a defense as poor as it was. Laurie Wallow Daybell, whatever her name is she's going
she's
next
continu-
week.
yeah, she's got another trial, I believe. I'm still trying to catch up to the first trial. Not gonna lie. Pre-Karen Reed, Mo thought she was going to do Karen or Lori Vallow trial, in the evening after this. And current Karen Reed Mo is barely surviving after days on, or the day.
Hey, Holly Mac.
No, it's been a long trial, and it hasn't even been as long as the last one. I could feel it today when I do my pre-game nap because I'm in. Oh, I need to travel soon, and I need to get all the stuff I need. I need to pack my bags and find out how much I need to go out and buy. I need to buy some underoos. Maybe I should just buy it over there. But so I'm already stressed over that, and then you you add that we have to sit here again for another 8 hours.
Baker,
But the good thing is we get to hang out with all these cool people.
yeah, did you
That's
wake up
true.
at 3 a.m.? I thought for sure, for some reason, my body was bolt awake at 3 a.m. I didn't look at my phone. I thought it was 8, or I looked at it and I didn't look at it correctly. So the 3 became an 8. I am running around like hauling behind because I'm like, I am late. And
I woke up at 5:30 and then I was like, that was early, and then I did my morning videos and hung out a bit watching rackets and just started finding the suitcase, getting it dusted, and
I
And
do
then-
like Rackets for his legal stuff because he makes it
well,
make sense.
I
and he's
like
a
it.
snarky.
You know, I like a good a-hole.
Yeah,
He's
he does.
a lovable a-hole. I like him.
I was getting
mean-
ready for bed last night, and then Baker, as I'm getting into bed, Baker sends me a message. It's like, "Oh, here's the right link. Maybe you should try this one." And then he sent me 4 links in a row that didn't work. So I had to go through and test each one of them to make sure it was at least 3. It was at least 3. And then he sent me 3 links that did work, but one of them wasn't for today. One's for Monday. So
You know how guilty I am? I wanted to text or DM Valhalla first because I'm like, I can't get it to work. I think my computer's stupid. Instead of thinking Baker did something different,
It was
I was
Baker.
like, I've broken it. Damn it.
No big
How am I
deal.
going to tell Baker?
Holly Mack gifted 10 Valhalla Awaits memberships. Thank you so much, Holly. Welcome to the Goat Herd. Louisiana girl Suzer, that's funny. Melissa Samak, Thurza Angel, Wanda Perez, Deborah Kennedy, Janice Stingerbell, Star Chris Z, and Jean Marie. I almost said Jean. Jean Marie. Welcome to the Goat Herd, y'all. Thank you so much, Holly Mack.
We are just getting back to OnlyFans, so you didn't miss anything. I was about to type something inappropriate. Then Baker would have caught me staying up past my bedtime, but I gave myself away missing the alarm.
Yeah, you slept in today.
Yeah, you slept. Yeah, you better do better. Next week, you will be lead mod because Marissa will be streaming. So everything is on you next week. That's the time to really lock down that mod of the year.
Yeah, Brandon, you better be here bright and early, ready to mod.
Be ready for the 2-hour update we do every day in Discord to get the mods. Well,
No, we don't.
Yeah, wait till he tells you about the Walmart, like where you have to do. Y'all have seen that when you go into Walmart too early and you've got like the 2 employees who are really excited to do the Walmart, like, huddle in the morning. Like, come on, let's do some. And the rest of them are just like, I'm missing a smoke break for this.
it's yeah. Brennan's going to get you in trouble. Well, if the ship is going down, it's going down in flames. So just get on
Yeah.
the ride.
I mean, I like my Rex like the Hindenburg, loud and for the humanity.
Let's go. Just give me a heads up so I don't multi-stream that day, so I can keep my channel monetized this year.
Yeah, I'm trying to, support my family with my semi-profitable hobby that's more of a tax write-off at the moment.
I have to figure out how to make Marissa send you the links now.
I don't know why. Well,
Why don't you
Well,
just
I
add
can
her
send
to
you.
that-
I can send you all the links I have made. You saw the list. I'm just going to
It's
send
long.
all the links and
No.
throw a fireball in the middle and let the
No.
rest figure itself out. Jamie will be sitting every single day and say, "Have you shared a link? Can I
You
get a
better
link?"
believe I did what Val did. I was scrolling through that thing when I woke up and I'm like, which one? Which one is it?
Thank you,
he
Holly
sent me
Mac,
the
for
first one that worked, right? And I set it up. I was like, okay, we're good to go. No worries.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I get done setting it up, he goes, oh, wait, not that one. That's the wrong link. Like, what? What did I just set up, Baker? What stream did I just play in on my channel?
You just
Holly
add
Mac,
Marissa to the Twitter thing, by the way.
Holly Mac,
Not gonna
thank you
help.
so much for gifting me 5 Broken Baker memberships. True Circuit Psych Ward. Fuck. Cockers, True Sidewalk, Wings, LDR, Kirsty, and Joyful. Got
Woo.
memberships. And to fill it out.
Whenever Mo's ready.
Oh,
Well,
I'm sorry.
I can do Carla because she also gifted a membership to Discworld Edwidge.
Nice.
I was trying to text my daughter back, but she knows she needs to pack. Holly Mack, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Carolyn B., Sarah Schwartzberg, Shore Life Creations, Sue Mitrika, and Deline M. Now, if I have to say your name slowly, that's because I'm doing Hooked on Phonics in my head. It's not because your name is terrible. I just really don't do well with reading. But thank you so much. Welcome to the Church of Mo. We have headlines, true crime, and dark chocolate, and no recorders or patchouli oil.
What college did Hank go to? I don't know, but he did teach Jemima because
What?
he,
No, we didn't.
yeah. Jemima went
Yeah,
to
he
the college where he gives lectures.
Oh God, is he as insufferable in
what?
person?
I don't know. I think she took crim law with him or something. I can't remember. She's been telling us a lot about how good he was as a professor, Jamie. Maybe you should join Discord.
I feel like that's never been talked about, but I could be wrong. Maybe
You're
I
wrong.
missed it.
You come in Discord and say, "Oh, those 83 messages. Only 5 of them mentioned me. I didn't read them."
Y'all are chatty Cathy's while I'm sleeping, okay?
There was
And I come in and I'm
78
like, I'm supposed to
messages.
read through 78 of these things.
There was
Yeah.
78 when I woke this morning, so don't blame me.
I know.
Did you guys know he was a former prosecutor?
A former
I thought you were
prostitute.
going to say something else with a
Prosecutor.
You
P.
said prostitute.
That's what I thought he was going to say too. To be fair.
Hey,
Former prostate.
going from street worker to defense attorney.
I wonder what Wendy H would say about that, considering her latest hot take.
Yeah. What is that compared to with people? Yeah. No sound. I know. That's why I ended it.
6 of Mr. DeSorga's amended PowerPoint presentation. Sir, I want to ask you about your opinions, and inevitably, some of the slides that you've presented to this jury regarding adjusting the clock in a time period of 3 seconds. You have given an opinion that there's a difference that you see in the reports between when the defendant's Lexus is powered on and the infotainment system begins, correct?
Yes.
There's a 3-second difference on the exemplar vehicle between when the power is turned on and then the screen lights up, the ignition, the infotainment system.
The 3 seconds I'm referring to is the timestamp in the data from the SD card. So I'm referring to the timestamp in the SD card. It seems that that's coupled to the screen, but I just want to make it clear I'm referencing the data from the SD card.
The data from the SD card correlates directly to the infotainment system itself,
The date does, yes.
because the SD card is with the other chips part of the board that makes up the infotainment system.
Yes.
That infotainment system powers the screen that goes on after a user presses the button to start the vehicle.
Yes.
So the time that the infotainment system is registering is when the infotainment system goes on, not the power on event.
Correct.
So that 3 seconds that was tested with the exemplar vehicle between pressing the button to turn the car on and the time the infotainment system turns on, the infotainment system clock does not accommodate that 3 seconds.
Correct.
So when we're talking about time on infotainment system, we're talking about after the 3 seconds when the screen comes on.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you've made some slides and you've made some assumptions suggesting that 3 seconds should be added to your analysis. And I want to ask you about your analysis regarding the 3
Well, at least we can hear him now.
seconds.
And I
We
don't
can
have
turn
the
to
boost off.
page 7, please. If you could zoom in on the left side. Sir, you told us that you didn't do any testing or data vetting yourself. You simply relied on reading and reviewing Mr. Burgess's report and Mr. Welcher's report.
He's already
Correct.
said this.
And really, the information you're reviewing is Mr. Burgess's report. There's only a few references in Mr. Welcher's report where he cites Mr. Burgess's findings, correct?
Most of it is from Mr. Burgess's reports.
There's really nothing in any of Dr. Welcher's reports that you are considering that is not in Mr. Burgess's report.
Aw.
The .154 alignment methodology, I think exclusively is in Dr. Welcher's and is not present in Mr. Burgess.
Notice what he did there. He just did, and then he answered. He didn't.
Where is he hiding his calculator?
Let me get my computer out again.
Yeah,
Let me check my notes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's in my
Seems
other laptop.
Confident.
and I have
He
to find
knows
out
he
what
has
I.
a grasp
I
of
like
what
it.
he did because he didn't overcomplicate it, so he doesn't have 800,000 pages to go through.
And I need to find out what I knocked off my table.
Burgess's.
Did you read both of Mr. Burgess's reports?
Yes.
You're not aware that Mr. Burgess talks about that timestamp in his reports?
He mentions it in the second report to say that he doesn't think, basically, he doesn't think Dr. Welcher should have aligned it on that.
That is exactly not what he said. Where in the report,
State.
where in his report does he say that Dr. Welcher should not have relied on 154? Where does it say that in his report? I have it here. If you can give me the page, we will take a look at it.
I don't know the page, and I'm paraphrasing. By no means am I conveying that as I'm directly quoting it, but I remember that as something I read in there.
Well, I was careful in your affidavit not to paraphrase you, right?
Oh, shut up.
So when you just made that assumption or that suggestion,
There's that whiny little bitch we were looking
characterizing
for.
Dr. Welcher's
And
state of
14-year-old
mind or
girl.
thought process, is there anywhere in the report you can cite or show me where Dr. Welcher?
I love that. I was just looking, and Ricada said, "Oh, Hanky isn't sucking that much right now." I think he'll change his mind real quick.
said that.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I mean, most
Okay.
people are like okay with it, from what I see. Like he's not getting
When you
anything.
read Mr. Burgess's report and you learned that he and others obtained an exemplar vehicle and did this testing, you have no other independent information to suggest that the power on, power off event and 3-second delay is inaccurate, do you?
I just want to make sure I heard you. Did you say accurate or inaccurate?
Inaccurate. I'm sorry, the fan's on. I'm trying to
I know
shout.
that's the only reason I couldn't hear that. So can you state it one more time?
I'll rephrase it. When you reviewed Mr. Burgess's report and reviewed the information about his exemplar testing regarding the 3-second difference between turning on the car and the infotainment system going on, you have no other information that you looked at or studied that changes that analysis, do you?
No.
Now, when you are suggesting, could we shrink that and zoom on the right side, please?
Why did Bev admonish Jackson for all the side comments, but now she's allowing Hank? It's complete BS. T-Rex,
What
Are you new here?
T-Rex?
Yeah.
you're not a new
Jesus,
hire.
man.
When you are suggesting that 3 seconds should be added to the time because of that 3-second gap, do you think maybe you made a mistake in considering it that way?
No.
The time that you're adding 3 seconds to is the infotainment time, the infotainment clock, correct?
Yes.
The infotainment clock begins when the infotainment system goes on. We just spoke about that, correct?
Right?
Didn't
Which
his
is 3
witnesses do
seconds.
this too?
Is he? is Brennan actually this dumb? Brennan said the infotainment doesn't start counting till 3 seconds after the car is turned on. So you need to add 3 seconds to the infotainment system to match it with the EDR data.
His expert said the exact same thing.
Exactly the same thing.
Let's just
It'll
wait
turn
for
on-
Jackson to fix it before we get our blood pressures all
After
up.
the power
He's an
on.
idiot.
He
Correct.
doesn't
So you're
understand the
essentially double
subject
dipping.
matter.
You're adding three.
No.
He just realized he messed
You're
up.
adding 3 seconds that has already been separated because it isn't reflected on the infotainment system. Isn't that true?
That's incorrect.
You believe that that 3 seconds between the power on and the infotainment system going on should be accommodated
Holy
extra.
boobs,
on top.
Batman.
It's not that it's extra. It's because when we're talking about times here, we're pulling a time from the infotainment and we're marrying that with a key on timer from the vehicle control history. Those are separate systems. So if the vehicle control history had its own time, then what you're saying would be correct. We wouldn't account for any delays because then it's already baked into those numbers. But this is a very unique analysis. This is not something I've ever even seen, this type of analysis here where we're comparing a timestamp from an infotainment SD card to a VCH total time. And so the only way to reconcile those two is we have to align them. And the 3 seconds is the alignment between those because the VCH key on timer is going to start as soon as the vehicle is turned on. And that's the 3 seconds.
You've never seen this before.
I've never seen the approach taken here in this analysis by Aperture. That's what I meant by this. I'll clarify. I have not seen a timestamp from a key on event in a Lexus infotainment used in addition to the key on timer from that same Lexus.
You know, Mr. Burgess actually looked at the data, not just the timestamp. He looked at the data. You understand that, don't you?
Sure.
You did
Burgess
not
is, come on.
Which data?
the data for the timestamp on the text stream data.
There is no timestamp on the text stream data, is my point. It's a derived value from the key on time, and then added to that is the elapsed time from the text stream. So they're separate.
Did you look at the data?
Your own expert said it's not a time, it's a rolling clock.
Yeah,
And that's
it's
why
not a
you have to
timer.
marry it with the infotainment clock. Why do I know more about your own expert's word than you do?
He has no
It
idea.
does.
He doesn't understand any of
And
it.
this is where we're going to get pissy Hank, because he doesn't understand. This man is correcting him, and he's going to feel aggrieved.
To make that determination that you're claiming right now? Did you actually look at the data?
Yes. Yeah.
You looked at the raw data?
I looked at, yes, the raw text
The SOGA.
stream data.
The raw
Matt.
text stream data from the
God.
entertainment, did you look at it?
I just don't want to mince it. The text stream data is an independent system from the infotainment, and you said from, so
Pardon?
they're not.
Did you look at the entertainment raw data?
I did.
Okay. And did you find a timestamp in the raw data?
Yes.
Now, when you added 3 seconds, you were trying to, in addition to the infotainment data, you were adding on the 3 second delay that now you're saying might not even be accurate. Is that fair to say?
No,
I don't think I've
that's
ever said
what
it's
he
not accurate. I said that in the exemplar testing, they documented this behavior of a 3 second delay. And that needs to be accounted for if you're going to correct the timestamps. However, the caveat I put on that was only with one exemplar vehicle. So it could be that this behavior, the 3 seconds, is unique to the exemplar and would not apply to other similar vehicles. And so that's why I did either nothing or the 3, because there's nothing to support something in between.
Do you disagree that the clock stamp on the infotainment module begins the run? You believe that there's potentially 3 seconds before when the ignition goes on that should be added to that time?
My head hurts now. Why is he doing
you
this?
wanna-
We were doing so good.
If you want to use the the stop clock that's in the EDS system, yes, then you need to add 3 seconds because the infotainment system has a 3-second delay. It can't be that bad to understand. It's what it. Am I? Again, I'm a stupid baker. I can understand. He even said it himself. When the car turns on, there's a 3-second delay to the infotainment system. Hank is so stupid that he thinks that the infotainment system and the EDS is running the same clock.
Yeah,
It's two different
he's
clocks
so
with 3 seconds between them.
he's confused. He's confused, and he's not going to admit it. Oh,
Well, you.
I know from testing other Toyota systems that the key on timer happens almost at the identical time that the vehicle is turned on. That timer starts running basically immediately.
But on this case, you don't know anything firsthand because you didn't do the testing yourself.
I don't know if it would specifically apply to this Lexus. I know that from other Toyota testing, but
And
not
you're
this specific Lexus.
I'm sorry. Finish.
No, just I'm clarifying. I do know that from other Toyota and VCH systems that key on timer is basically simultaneous with the key on. I have not tested it on this, and I don't believe that it was tested by Aperture when they had it either. They didn't document the accuracy of the run timer in their exemplar, so we don't know.
Well, you don't know that they didn't document that.
To be fair, if they did, it was not in their reports.
Right. So in this case, you said cars are different, and that's why you're hesitant to accept the fact that there's a 3-second delay. It's a
that's
yes or
not
no
what he
question.
said.
I'm saying we don't know. If had Aperture done testing with a separate vehicle, then we could establish, is the 3 seconds the same or is it unique? We don't know. The answer is we don't know.
And so when you are determining that 3-second variance, you don't have any assurance in your own mind whether or not this car, Miss Reed's Lexus, has a 3-second variance. That's what you're trying to say.
That's correct. And that's why I run my calculations with and without it.
And the way you would determine that is to actually do testing or look at the data.
He looked at the data.
More testing, I
looked
think,
at
is
the
the
damn
only way
data.
that would be able to be determined.
Now, let's turn to slide 9. As part of your chart,
I think Hank needs to practice a bit of Swaysher in his life. It would help him a lot. I would go so far that he needs to go frolic.
Yes. Although with
Do a
whom
large left,
or
please.
what goat?
as part of your charts, you took this chalk from Attorney Burgess's report and you made some assumptions about this, didn't you?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I applied
Let me-
the numbers in his third column to the times. So, I mean, that's the extent of the analysis.
When you looked at the first 5 columns, 1:14, 13 a.m., 4:38, 16 a.m., 4:42:06 a.m., 4:45, 12 a.m., and 5:04, 28 a.m.
Did you know there was snow?
You said on
before
direct
the snow?
examination, oh boy.
Did you say,
Oh,
oh
my.
boy?
Yeah, he said, oh,
You said on direct examination that was matching infotainment to iPhone.
That's what it says on the chart. So
Okay.
that's probably what I said. I don't
Well,
remember specifically, but that's what the
Is
chart
that-
says.
Is that your opinion that those first 5 columns are matching infotainment to iPhone?
The chart says infotainment call timestamp in column 1. It says O'Keefe iPhone call timestamps in column 2, and then it says offset. So I'm taking that at face value.
You're basing your later charts on the predicate that these numbers, the first 5 columns, are infotainment compared to John O'Keefe.
Doesn't it
says
say infotainment?
Am I
He's
just crazy
using
pills?
your experts. What the?
What is going on here?
I think he used this expert's work. I think the expert has been trial prepping with Hanky. Yeah, I'm Gabbard flashed as well. Everything Hanky Panky is bringing up is a nothing burger to sound like he's cross-examining all junk. Yeah, and he's asking questions that this guy is sitting there and thinking, what the hell is he talking about? So he sounds like he doesn't answer. Which
He
is
has
good.
an answer for everything, which is nice. Like he's not hesitating.
Yeah, but he has to think about these ones, and it makes him seem like he's
Yeah.
what?
Well, because Hank and Dan Davis, thank you for being a member for 1 month, and that was 3 seconds of my life I won't get back. Yeah.
Based on the chart, yes.
You didn't do any study on your own in terms of the genesis of that information.
Fuck you.
I'm aware of the fact that these calls, the 5 you mentioned, were placed when the vehicle was in a keyed off state. I'm aware of that.
What I asked you specifically is, on those 5 columns, did you do any research or study to determine whether or not
No, because
infotainment matches John O'Keefe's iPhone or some other phone?
He read the reports from which the information came.
and now he's asking if some other phone matches. That's not the scope of his investigation, you idiot. This is going to be horrible for the next week and a half. By the way, I won't.
Call him Matthew.
No.
Because in your ultimate conclusions and all the charts you give to the jury and show the jury, it relies on the conclusion that the first 5 columns
Hey, Gail.
are a comparison
Yeah.
between infotainment clock
No.
and John O'Keefe's iPhone. Isn't that fair to say?
That's exactly how the chart presents it, and that's how I present it.
Did you know that at 1:14:13 a.m., the defendant's Lexus was turned off?
Yes.
Did you know at 4:38:16 a.m. that the defendant's Lexus was turned off?
Yes.
And did you know for 4:42:06, 4:45:12, 5:04:28, did you know that her Lexus was turned off?
Oh, this
Do you know
this
that when
expert's
you
resting you're an idiot. This
How many-
expert's resting you're a dumbass face is great.
Yeah. And how many times has De Soga said what in his head? Right now, I think it's just constantly screaming in his head.
phone calls, oh, by the way, do you know on those different times, the first 5 times, where that information is generated from?
Which column?
Left column, 1:14:13, all the way down to 5:04:28. Those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 calls. Do you know where that information came from?
It came from the SD card from the infotainment.
Do you know where the genesis, the beginning, the source of that information? That matters, right? The source?
It would.
It would. You know where it came from.
The assumption, the assumption is if the vehicle has a timestamp and the phone wasn't connected, it would have been synchronized after the fact. But that wasn't tested. And Aperture didn't do any of that testing in their work to look at the behavior of a timestamp in the infotainment when a phone is synchronized after the fact.
Blaming Aperture is not going to get you out of answering the question. Did you know?
Sustained.
Sure.
This absolute jackass. Hank is going to lose it.
That's Aperture didn't do any of that. Came from the SD card from the
What are you doing, man?
Yes.
And did you know for
I went back too far. Sorry.
Do you know the genesis, the source of those 4 numbers?
Bless you.
Aperture?
Definitively no.
Your entire premise to your slides and values and ranges depends on.
Dr. Wiltshire. So he's claiming his own expert did a shitty job, so you can't rely on it.
That's what he's saying, right?
Yeah.
Well, basically, can you pause it? What Brennan is trying to state is that his experts actually did testing, actually touched the car. This one only stole their work, to criticize it, but didn't actually touch anything. Therefore, he is an idiot.
Yeah.
That's not how this works.
Well, I didn't say I like the argument. I'm just trying to give you the perspective I think he's doing.
This man is here to take the Aperture report and figure out what the hell they tried to do. He did that, pointed out some flaws, and now Brennan is going, hey, you have flaws in your work. Well, yeah, it's all Aperture's work. I'm just here to criticize and point out the wrong in Aperture's work. That's what I'm doing here.
And this expert, I think, maybe has talked to Jackson, and he explained, or he knows everything that Hank tries to tear down in Cross, I will get on redirect. I like witnesses that do this, that are just honest.
On Mr. Burgess's explanation that those times were synchronized after the fact.
Did you know that those are all phone calls from the defendant's phone to Mr. Ortiz's phone?
Yes.
You did know that.
I know that they're phone calls
From who?
between. Sorry, can you maybe just state it more clearly? Because I'm not sure. I don't want to fumble through an answer if I don't understand the question. So,
Do you know where those calls came from? The source?
a phone,
Who?
Miss Reed's phone.
Now, I know you're not an expert on mobile devices, but did you know when it's not contemplating
Oh,
plug your phone in, it's going to register on the entertainment system, but come from the phone? Objection.
Sustained.
Do you know when someone plugs their phone in after they turn the car back on, how it synchronizes on the entertainment system?
I don't know if adjustments are made to those times during a synchronization or not. I think that's something that could be tested, and to my knowledge, was not tested.
If you don't know, then your conclusions and all your opinions to this jury is based on an assumption that you don't even know the predicate for, isn't it?
I want him to say, no, it's based on the facts I was given by the Commonwealth's expert.
That fair to say?
My conclusions are based on all of the data that Mr. Burgess laid out. So he laid these out and went so far as to calculate the offsets himself. So there's something implied in his table by virtue of him calculating these that maybe he would decide to align them. And so, again, to provide the clarity on all the possible alignments, I included them.
But that's not what I asked. If you're making an improper assumption about the predicate, about these calls and the source of them, and you're wrong, that would change your entire analysis and conclusions and charts that we see in your later charts, wouldn't it?
Sure, if there was testing that showed that that is an invalid method on this specific Lexus and SD card, then of the 30 possibilities, some of them would end up being eliminated.
Did you know that when an iPhone is plugged into a car, it downloads the information from the iPhone?
Oh, shit.
You know that?
I don't know how the clocks are synchronized when you plug an iPhone into a car.
Well, if you don't know, how can you make conclusions based on articles you don't even know what it is?
The conclusions are based on the data in Mr. Burgess's report.
I know you're not an expert on mobile devices.
So I'm going to strike that. Go ahead and ask your question.
My apologies. If you have two different devices, a Lexus clock, an entertainment system, and an iPhone, you would agree that it's not unexpected to be variances, correct?
Correct.
When you're comparing two iPhones, do you have an opinion, do you agree that you would expect the variance to be very small, iPhone to iPhone?
I don't know.
Have you ever studied that before?
Two iPhones?
Yes.
No.
So if you sit there today, you don't have any expertise, any education, any knowledge about how closely two iPhones would sync with each other?
No.
You see in the first five columns, the numbers are small, 22121.
Yes.
Would you agree, iPhone to iPhone, using the same source of time?
What does this have to do with Toyota?
Okay, wait, pause. So what Brennan is saying is that the earlier smaller numbers were the variance between the iPhones. The larger and more variant numbers were the difference between the iPhones and the infotainment system. So iPhone to iPhone, there'd be very small, but then what he's saying is shown is that between the iPhones and the infotainment center is a larger variance.
That's not what the infotainment system says, or the chart says, because it said all the first times are from the infotainment system. It doesn't say halfway
Well, that's-
down, oh, now we're measuring something differently.
Well, no, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I
but
think
that
what.
would be wrong because he can't say something that's not on the chart he's presenting.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just here.
I don't think you have to excuse Brennan and try to, because again, wait for AJ to try and come up and
I do
Thi-
like
this-
to understand
he-
exactly what he's trying to get, at least.
but it doesn't make sense because he has a chalk up there saying this is the infotainment system, these are the phone calls, these are the drifts. And so if you go from pairing infotainment system and phone to phone and phone, that's not what his chalk is showing. It must be the same all the time, or you can't put it in the same graph.
Do you have any opinion about whether iPhones to iPhones will generally be within 1 to 2 seconds of each other?
Can I ask if there's an opinion? Do you have an opinion on that?
No.
Next question.
If the first 5 calls are iPhone to iPhone rather than infotainment to iPhone,
Outside of
you
the
agree
scope.
all of your assumptions
Yeah.
are accurate.
They're not iPhone to iPhone in the sense that column 1 came from the infotainment. The values were read from the SD card. So there's an assumption baked into it.
That's why it is iPhone talking to iPhone, but it's not iPhone. It's iPhone through infotainment to iPhone. That's
Okay,
the
thank you.
problem. But Brennan will lie about it and say these 2 are phone calls that goes from one to another, but all of them have to go through the infotainment system, and that's why they use the clock from the infotainment system.
What you're saying that when a phone is synchronized, the infotainment assumes the times of the phone, but we don't know whether the infotainment would adjust those times to its own clock or not.
You're speculating, aren't you?
We don't know. It wasn't tested. I don't know is the
You
answer.
don't know.
I don't know.
You don't know.
I do not.
Okay. Don't say
But
you
your
don't know.
expert
You don't
doesn't
know.
either.
You don't know.
This is iPhone to iPhone. Then your assumption was first off, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 1. If they're iPhone to iPhone, and you're wrong about the fact it's infotainment to iPhone, your assumptions and conclusions are inaccurate, aren't they?
I'll allow this.
If the title of the first column had iPhone in it as well, then I would not have used it in my analysis.
But that's not the question. I appreciate that. My question is, if those first 5 calls were
Oh, he
iPhone
hates
to
Hank.
iPhone,
But
He hates Hank too. He's like,
Thi- this should actually, they should object to this line of question because this expert is clearly testifying to what is on the board. And Lally is now saying we have a column of apples, oranges, and bananas. If you believe that the first 5 in column A are apples, you are wrong. Actually, they are oranges as well as the ones in line 2. So why are you claiming something different? Well, your expert told me it's apples, oranges, and bananas. Yeah, but what if it was oranges in the first column as well? Well, it's not. Well, it could
Exactly.
be.
Getting out of this.
It's
AJ did try to object, and she let it in. It's stupid.
They need to say asked and answered.
I'm not sure
Yeah.
that Bev understands what the hell's going on most of the time, if I'm being honest. I think all this tech stuff is so far above her head that she can't really compute in real time what the hell they're talking about.
Hell, working an actual 9 to 5 is beyond her. She's 10:30 to 4.
mistakenly analyze them as infotainment time to iPhone time, then the rest of your assumptions and charts would be inaccurate.
but so are your experts. Well, she gave them that objection.
It's the vodka.
At 5:21:36, do you know whether or not the defendant's Lexus was on?
I don't recall if that one was an on or an off point. I don't want to guess. I don't recall.
And so if you don't know if that was on or off, were you able to do an analysis whether this was phone to phone or infotainment to phone?
No.
5:30:31, do you know if the defendant's car was on?
That one I know the vehicle was on.
That's one timestamp on the infotainment system, 5:30:31, correct?
Correct.
And then in the O'Keefe iPhone call timestamps, there are 2 different numbers, 5:30:15, 5:30:52. Yes?
Yes.
Right. And do you appreciate that that is 2 separate calls, or do you think it's something different?
I'm going to paraphrase again Mr. Birch's report as I recall it. and that he stated during the testing they did with the exemplar, calls placed in close succession would not necessarily both be logged in the infotainment. So as I understand this chart, what he's trying to say here is there were 2 calls placed, there were 2 call logs in Mr. O'Keefe's phone, but only 1 timestamp in the infotainment, and he couldn't determine which it corresponded to because of that observed behavior from testing.
I'm asking if you know.
I don't.
Did you ever look at phone records for
Burgess
the
doesn't know
defendant
either.
or
How the
Mr.
hell is he supposed to know off of Burgess's report when Burgess doesn't know?
We have established he's only here to testify about his take on Burgess's report. And is Brennan really spending so much time to talk about how wrong his own expert is?
What he's trying to do is he's trying to get this guy to say, I don't know, as many times as possible, making him look like he's unqualified. And I took a look over at the Morons panel stream over there, and that was their talking point. And I was trying to figure out why they were calling him unqualified. Now it makes sense. Now I understand the strategy.
Mr. O'Keefe, make a determination whether these are 2 separate calls or not. Did you ever do that?
No.
If these are 2 separate calls, can you explain to us why there is 1 timestamp?
Again, as I stated, that was behavior that was observed. The exact behavior was observed during the exemplar testing by Aperture. I don't know why that happens. Why does the infotainment not log every call? I don't. But I know that it was documented that that is a feature of the system.
This information was not taken from the exemplar vehicle, was it?
This table, no.
This information was taken from the infotainment system of the defendant's car. Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah, and he looked at the testing they did with the exemplar to figure out why there was this discrepancy. How can he be this? Well, I hope the jury understands how wrong he is.
And the phone calls were taken from Mr. O'Keefe's iPhone. Isn't that true?
Yes.
And so, you know why there would be 2 phone calls and only 1 timestamp?
Beyond the testing, the exemplar testing that showed an exemplar vehicle did that. No, I don't know why it happens.
Do you know that the infotainment system doesn't always capture all of the phone calls and the phone data in the downline?
He just said so.
Saying.
Yes.
That's what he's saying.
Well, if you know that, can you conclude that even though the 2 calls and only 1 timestamp, that's because how the infotainment system works?
I think that's the
That's
most
what he's
logical
been
assumption
saying.
that that's how it works.
So when you look at 530.15
Oh my God.
and 530.52, it is impossible to tell which one relates to the 530.31.
He said that.
It's impossible, right?
Yes.
So there's 2 possibilities.
Yes.
One is that you have a difference, a disparity of 16 seconds.
Yes.
And the other one, going the opposite way, is a disparity of 21 seconds.
Correct.
And so when you add those disparities, you have 27 seconds disparity. Correct?
I'll allow that.
Is there a 27-second disparity when you compare the 2?
I'm not sure I understand the math.
530.31 is 16 seconds different than 530.15 on Mr. O'Keefe's phone. Yes?
Yes.
530.31 is 21 seconds different than the 530.15 phone call. Yes?
Yes.
And the difference is cut each way, 1 minus 1 positive.
Correct.
So when you add those disparities, you get 27 seconds. Don't you?
I'm going to allow that.
No.
What do you
Hey, you're saying if maybe so I can be clear what you're asking, if we have a negative 16 and we have a positive 21, how many seconds are in between there?
Exactly.
37?
39.
So-
Not
You have
27.
the start,
idiot.
starting and ending
Did you know that
sequence
the
as
second
well.
car was on 507 a.m.? Does that ring a bell?
I don't have any of those key-ons committed to memory.
So you can see between 521 and 530, the offset is different between them, which shows that variances change.
He
They
said
move.
that.
That seems reasonable. Yes.
When I said it seems reasonable, do you have the experience and the knowledge to agree with me that variances move?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. He's only a doctorate. Yours is pursuing his bachelor's. I'm sure we'll be
If
on the
those
great
first
battle
5
quest
calls
for his
were
doctorate.
iPhone to iPhone rather than
making everybody a
infotainment to
doctor.
iPhone, would you agree
A
they
master's.
should not have been considered in your analysis?
Yes, with the caveat that because this is a novel analysis with this SD card and this infotainment, that it was demonstrated that that's the behavior. My opinions on things like that are based on testing and research and literature. And so when we have a brand new system with new data, we want to see some testing to prove it works the way we think it works. But under the assumption, then yes,
You would agree.
yes.
He just did.
If we turn to 10, please. Given, could you zoom in a little, please, on the left? Given that these data points come at 5 in the morning, or 1, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, and 5:30, did you consider whether they would be less reliable than comparing to the triggering event, the 3-point turn at 12:23 the night before? Did you consider that?
Yes.
When you said you reviewed in your critiquing reports, did you read Mr. Burgess's report on May 8, 2025?
Yes.
Did you read in his report where he explains that this is a less reliable method to, it's a less reliable method because of the time difference between the actual event we're interested in, 1162 at 12:30, 1:43 to 48, than the 3-point turn?
Yes. Okay.
When he explains that the method of using 5:21 and 5:30 on January 29, 2022, he explains about how the information is stored in the infotainment system when it's powered back on, doesn't he?
I'm not sure.
Well, do you remember when you were reviewing his report that he explained the available call log correlation is restricted to a time frame between 5:21 and 5:30 a.m. on January 29, 2022, when the vehicle was powered on. All other calls stored in the infotainment module occurred while the vehicle was powered off, indicating those entries were synced from Miss Reed's iPhone upon reconnecting to the system on the morning of January 29th. You considered that when you decided or formulated your critique, didn't you?
Yes.
This further indicated that the associated timestamps for those calls originated from Miss Reed's iPhone. Did you read that?
Yes.
Relative to those first 5 columns, correct?
Yes.
This behavior was previously documented in the initial report, which is the January 30th report. Yes?
Yes.
You
No,
shrugged.
he just
I
tried
don't
to
want you
make
agree
him
with
do
me.
it.
Do you remember it was in the January 30th report?
I don't remember how he phrased it specifically. But I think there was somewhere around there where he noted that some calls were placed while the vehicle was off. I think that's basically what it said in the first one. I don't remember specifically.
Okay. Do you agree generally, or can I give you the report? You can look and remind yourself. I want to get your best memory on this.
Sure.
What would you like me to do?
If you'd like me to look at it, I'll look at it.
Sure.
Do
Do you have a
you
copy,
have
or
the-
would you like me to bring
Do
it
you
to
have the reports with you, sir?
Later on.
Okay. Do you have an extra copy for him, Mr. Brennan?
Mine is
But he doesn't have all his report, 2 laptops and a calculator.
He doesn't have accuracy
Why do-
report.
Why doesn't he have an extra when he want to ask questions to the report?
Right?
The defense did that all the time.
Brennan should do that. That's common practice.
That's yeah, especially
Can't
when you're
prove it.
asking specifics from a
I
report
don't have a
that
clean
he.
copy. I don't want to show you something that has my writing on it. Not that I care that you read it, but it's protocol.
Oh,
Okay.
you are such a.
In
Something
discussing
tells me he really cares if
why
you read
this is not an
Yeah.
effective way of matching.
It's kind of like when he says, "I don't care. Bring it. Arca can come. We are not afraid of Arca. I want Arca to testify. By the way,
Also,
can you keep Arca
motion
out?
to dismiss Arca right now.
Yeah.
Motion to
Hey,
dismiss.
and if you let them testify, can you just let them only testify to their name? Well, first name
Another
only.
one?
God, I hate this dude. I hate him so much.
That's it. Time to follow my grandma's sage advice. Rip, Granny. An Irishman is never drunk so long as he can hold on to a single blade of grass to prevent himself from falling off the face of the earth. Brendan, as long as you can stick on long enough that we can get our Friday beer.
Yes.
You go ahead.
You go,
Time.
girl.
Did you consider in his May 8, 2025 report, when he's talking about this method, when he says, as a result, this method yields a single reference point for potential alignment?
Yes.
And we
Call logs
talked-
are discrete points.
I'm sorry?
The call logs are discrete points for alignment. Is that?
As a result, this method yields a single reference point, referring to the 5:30-31.
I don't know. It sounds like it, but I don't know.
From the 5:21 a.m. to the 5:30.
He is a
He
vector V,
Delta V.
Delta V expert. It's a new guy.
a.m. window, a clock speed of approximately -8 and -16 plus 21 seconds were observed between the Lexus clock in Mr. O'Keefe's iPhone clock. Consider that.
Yes.
This offset is measured approximately 5 hours after the time of the collision and cannot be assumed to apply to other time
Baker,
stated in the initial report.
do you remember in other trials a lawyer reading pages and pages of his expert's report? Jackson, at least object, to break up his flow. I mean,
Yeah, we need a strategical.
he's
break.
testifying right now, lawyer testifying.
Yeah, and I need a bio break as well.
God bless him,
Trying to allow
Godspeed.
it.
Well, he did object, and then she allowed it.
Oh,
So
well,
you have-
fucking course.
I'll see counsel,
Excuse
excuse
me.
me.
Baker, go to your bio break.
Sir, going back to my question, so you read Mr. Burgess' report, the same report that you're critiquing, and you were aware of this information, weren't you?
Yes.
And so you were aware that Mr. Burgess in his May 8th report was identifying that the section in green was the only contemporaneous information for analysis. Did you know that?
Is that how he states it specifically?
I can read it again. I just read it to you.
If you don't mind.
Okay.
So let's give him a copy.
I'm sorry, Your Honor?
Let's give him a copy, just so you have the clean copy.
Wait, now the defense has to get a clean copy for him? Way to go, Hank.
You can turn to page 3. What I read to you was where it says clock sync method 1. Do you see that?
Yes.
And this is, if you look at the second paragraph, I read that to you word for word. Do you see that?
Yes.
The 5:21 a.m. and 5:30 a.m. are the only 2 data points when that car was on January 29, 2022. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And if you look at the last paragraph, do you agree or disagree? As a result, this method yields a single reference point for potential alignment. Do you agree with that?
No.
Because you still are under the mistaken belief that
Sustained.
you still have the opinion that the first 5 rows are
Mistaken belief.
infotainment to iPhone analysis.
It's presented as that way in his initial report, analysis was based on, and in the supplemental report, there's no further testing to say one way or the other. He just has a new opinion. So I stand by the initial analysis that I had, that those points should be included with all of the other points.
But that's not my question. My question is, you are taking the position those first 5 calls are an infotainment to iPhone analysis.
They could be, and so I include them. I'm not saying they definitively are or not, which is why I never say there is one way to do it. That's why I say there's a whole host of ways to do it.
So you're now saying that you're not assuming that's an infotainment to iPhone analysis. Are you now saying that?
It's stated that way, and I think it could be that way, but it might be iPhone to iPhone too, if those times are just copied over.
And if it was iPhone to iPhone, your analysis would be wrong.
Certain lines would go away. So if you want to call the whole analysis wrong because of that, it might be your characterization. It would change the total number of possibilities.
So you're wrong.
So if we put up chart 12, page 12, please.
He is so done. He is going to go smoke all
If
of
you were
Wally's
wrong
cigarettes.
about the infotainment to iPhone analysis and those first 5 should not be considered, which part of your chart would now be wrong?
What do we have? 12 lines on the chart?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, we have 12 lines on the chart. If we decided to eliminate the lines that are based on the calls when the vehicle was off, we would be left with 4 lines on the chart.
And that's only half of this chart.
And if we turn to 14, please. And if you could enlarge, well, I don't think you can enlarge it. If your analysis about infotainment to iPhone was wrong, you would agree those first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns should not be there, should they?
No, the positive 16 stays, the negative 21 stays, 1, 2, 8, and 20 would go away. So we'd lose 4 lines from this chart.
And the negative 16 line, that comes from information at 5:30 a.m. the next morning.
Correct.
And you would agree that that distance is not as accurate as queuing it from the 3-point turn event 1162-1.
The 3-point turn is closer in time than the call at 5:32.
And thus more reliable, wouldn't you say?
Generally,
No.
And the negative 21, that was from 5:30 and some seconds the next morning. Same idea. Not as reliable as the 3-point turn information.
there's greater uncertainty the farther in time we get.
So when we turn to the 3-point turn information, you mentioned in Dr. Welcher's report that it was noted that the timestamp 154 was the end of the 3-point turn event, correct?
That's how he states it.
And then more information was provided when Mr. Burgess then broke down that 154 timestamp, correct?
Correct.
And when he broke down the 154 timestamp, he actually wrote a report about it, didn't he?
Yes.
He didn't just have it in his head, he put it on paper for all to see, yes?
Yes.
Oh,
And in that
screw
report,
you.
not only does he break down the data, he also shows a visual of the actual data on a map, doesn't he?
He does.
My expert wrote with crayons.
Yes. Exhibit 192A. Okay, let's start with 192B, please. If you could open that up so we could see it a little better. When you look at the data he actually broke down, do you agree that instead of at the end of the 3-point turn event as timestamp 154, that actually is at the beginning of the 3-point turn? Do you agree with that?
I don't know if the points are numbered on here, so I can't tell which point he's referencing as 154.
Do you see the green circle?
Yes.
Do you see the black line?
Yes.
Does that orient you to the direction the car was traveling?
That appears to be what he's trying to convey with this chart.
And then the yellow is facing a different direction towards Fairview, correct?
It is.
And do you see the green square rectangle?
Yes.
You think that correlates to the green circle?
That seems to be what this graph implies.
And it notes that,
So ask it differently, Mr. Brennan.
does that heading note the start of the 3-point turn of O'Keefe's phone is 12:23:59?
I'm going to allow it.
That's what Mr. Burgess states in the report.
And do you have any information to suggest that's not spot on accurate?
No, I didn't do an
Spot
independent
on.
analysis of the 3-point turn maneuver.
And then the heading of the change, end of 3-point turn to O'Keefe's home, 12:24:07. You have any information to suggest that's not spot on accurate?
I did not analyze the 3-point turn maneuver.
And so when you look at that and break down 154, did you determine or make an analysis that 154 that was generally accepted, because there is variances between items, when you break it down with more specificity, 154 is actually earlier than the 3-point turn conclusion. Did you consider that?
I'm going to allow that, yeah.
I'm not sure I understand
Okay.
the question, if you don't mind.
You mentioned Dr. Welch's report said it relied on 154 as a timestamp for the end of the 3-point turn.
Yes.
Based on Mr. Burgess's May 8th report and based on the data, which you don't contest, you now agree that 154 was not the end of that 3-point turn. It was at the beginning.
Based on how Mr. Burgess presents it, I didn't do an independent analysis. So I'm not on one side with Mr. Burgess or one side with Dr. Welcher. They present independent methods.
Are you suggesting in any way it's inaccurate? Are you suggesting it is in any way inaccurate?
I'm going to allow that.
I don't have any opinions as to the individual accuracy of the methods selected by either Mr. Burgess or Dr. Welcher.
Do you have any information you'd like to add or weigh in on to dispute the accuracy of those times?
Sustained.
He just said no, you
And
idiot.
let's turn to the previous exhibit so we can actually see the data that's broken down. You could open that. The 154 timestamp, if you go to the left, please. Do you see that right above the green line?
Yes.
12:23:58. You see that?
Yes.
And then the green goes to the orange, and that's an 8-second difference, isn't it?
Yes.
And when you looked at this, you considered that this was a more detailed study of that timestamp by Mr. Burgess.
No, he's just there to look at their findings and see if he agrees with it.
Right?
More detailed is, yes, that's correct.
And do you know why he did a more detailed analysis of this? Why it wasn't in the original PowerPoint?
No, I don't.
Well, you said that variances are generally accepted in the community, right?
Yes.
But then you wrote a report suggesting numbers and additions and you submitted that report as part of the basis of your testimony, right?
I only submitted a PowerPoint. I have no report.
PowerPoint. And after you submitted the PowerPoint, isn't it fair to say Mr. Burgess then analyzed this data to be more specific after you introduced your PowerPoint?
Yes.
So can you guess why he went through a more detailed analysis?
No.
Because his original information was incorrect.
Strike it.
In the final exhibit. Let's go back to the data. You said that Mr. Burgess had an 8-second range, 21 to 29 seconds, remember?
Yes.
And you were suggesting that somehow there was some uncertainty. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. Were you guessing about his state of mind, whether he was certain or not? Do you know why he gave an 8-second range? Objection.
So ask it differently, Mr.
Okay. You suggested the reason why there's an 8-second range is that Mr. Burgess was uncertain. Remember saying that to this jury?
Not in those exact words, but that's what uncertainty is. Uncertainty is a range. If we don't know a specific value, we put a range around it. That's uncertainty. That's a
This data from the green, would you agree it indicates the beginning of the 3-point turn, and then the orange at the end of the car is already in motion at 11.2 miles per hour? Objection.
I'm going to allow it. Do you agree with that?
I see speed values there.
Did
What happened?
I freeze? Did Baker freeze?
I think Baker froze.
I think Baker froze.
He hasn't blinked in a long time.
Yeah, that's what I was. Oh no.
Oh no.
This is driving me mad, so I'm trying to bite my lip to not curse every 5 seconds. But his misrepresentation of everything
I'm
that
back.
he's trying to. Oh,
There he is.
yay!
My internet just crept out.
Hey, you'll have that.
We are glad you're back, Baker. And thank you, Jason JJJ. Is Brennan sounding like a pissed off hobbit? He's not kindly and happy enough to have ever been a hobbit. He's pre-Smeagol.
Pre-Smeagol. Smeagol was the.
Oh, yeah,
Hobbit.
Smeagol. He's pre-Gollum. He's
There
Smeagol.
you go. There you go. Don't be getting your Lord of the Rings lore off base here. That's not allowed.
No, I know. Apparently, I'm dyslexic in names too.
But he's kind of sounding frustrated that he can't get that answer he wants. And it's not because the witness won't give it to him. It's because I think this witness is sitting there right now with the pause face I did and thinking, oh, sweet Jesus, I know that you have a commandment that say I can't do it, but I really want to go down there and do it.
I did not.
Do you have any reason to test accuracy of this data that's been broken? No objection.
I'm going to allow that.
No.
And so by giving the range of 8 seconds, you talked about looking at different values to be fair, wide range, right? Even though this analysis depends on the end of the 3-point turn, would you agree it's kind of forgiving to give that 8-second range to give the benefit of the doubt by starting at the beginning of the 3-point turn all the way to the end of it rather than just giving the end point? Objection.
As to that form, ask it differently, Mr. Blue.
Does the 8-second range that is provided by Mr. Burgess coincide with the data and the 8-second range between the green and the orange?
That's where he comes up with the 8-second range, correct?
And so if Aperture's position is the matching times at the end of the event, going back to the beginning, isn't that even more forgiving than the baseline objection?
I'm going to allow it.
Yeah, I would call it a conservative approach to use a range of values.
The opposite of cherry picking, right?
Sure.
Do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of forensic data certainty
That's a new one.
about whether text stream data
He's not a data forensic expert.
Look at his face.
He's like, what the hell all those words together mean? It's like when he says healthcare data. I'm like, call your HIPAA provider.
Forensic.
I'm getting a hematuba.
What?
Me too. It's not a tuma.
provides
It's a
data
hematoma.
reflecting whether a collision actually occurred. In your opinion, to a reasonable degree of forensic certainty, is the text stream data would not reflect the collision, correct?
That's not what I said. I don't have an opinion.
And you know that there can be collisions or touching between vehicle, and it's not going to appear on the text stream data. You know that, right?
It's possible.
It's possible. Did you know that the defendant's vehicle at 5:07 a.m. on January 29, 2022 bumped into a different car?
Yes.
Do you see that reflected on the text stream data?
Admitting that now?
Well, his witness.
I'm thinking back to when I reviewed the raw text stream data, and I don't remember seeing an event from that.
I can't really
I don't
hear you.
remember seeing an event from that time in the text stream data.
Well, you don't remember seeing it. It's not there, is it?
I don't think it is. I don't remember seeing it. I don't think there's one.
You're not.
I was going to finish and say I don't have all of the events committed to memory. There's
You're-
19 of them.
I'm sorry.
There's 19 events. I don't have them all committed to memory.
You're not testifying or offering an opinion that there was no collision with this car that night, are you?
No.
Because if you were implying that or suggesting that or insinuating that, that would be misleading, wouldn't it?
It's not.
Sustained.
I have no further questions.
You just called him a liar.
Oh,
Fucking
hell
cunt.
no.
Yes.
Baker, you said my
You were asked a
favorite
number of
word. I'm so
questions,
proud of you.
A few minutes ago by Mr. Brennan concerning your expertise. I'm just going to grab a pen.
And stay near the microphone, please.
Please, AJ.
Specifically, you were asked about your expertise regarding mobile data devices. Mobile devices and their data, correct?
Yes.
And were you being truthful when you indicated that you were not an expert in
Yes.
that field? Were you being truthful when you indicated that you have a certain expertise in EDR data?
Yes.
Were you being
Oh, were you truthful when you stated what education you had? You know, he's going to go there. He said, you have finished your exams. You didn't just pursue them. And I can't wait for that objection.
truthful when you indicated that you did review Mr. Burgess's data and Mr. Welcher's data as reflected in their reports and PowerPoints?
Yes.
Were you being truthful about your credentials?
Yes.
Yep.
Have you ever lied about your credentials?
No.
You hold a bachelor's degree
Yes.
and you hold a master's degree.
I do.
You ever lied to anybody about that?
No.
Outstanding.
Mr. Sogra, what is the only reason you amended your PowerPoint presentation
Outstanding,
from
yo.
its original version to the one that you most recently amended it to?
To include the additional analysis and data points from Mr. Burgess's supplemental report.
So-
VT Hoogegal, welcome. Zach isn't here today, so we're not that crazy.
He was here earlier. Where's he
I'm
at?
sorry, I interrupted you. Go
The
ahead.
May 8th report.
So you amended yours because he amended his.
Correct.
You were asked just a second ago about all the text stream events that you noted on Ms. Reed's SUV, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Brennan asked you about a specific text stream event at or around 5:07 in the morning, and whether you had something like that committed to memory, correct?
Yes.
You said, I don't have them all committed to memory, right?
I don't.
What did you say after that? Because there's how many?
It was 19 events prior to 1162-2, 19 other events.
How about after 1162?
There were a number after 1162-2. I don't have the exact count in my head.
How about after 1162, just
Like
on
100?
January 29th, going into January 30th?
There were other events.
How many?
I don't recall the exact number.
Does 11 sound right?
That it sounds plausible. I recall seeing in the chart. I recall seeing a number of events after.
Can you refresh your recollection? Can you get a chart?
It would.
So,
Thank you.
if I'm understanding, there were 11 events just later that night, or
Yes.
After that morning.
After the one day choose, there are 11 more that day.
Oh, yeah. So after the 3-point turn. Or no.
No, after
the
1162 dash
The
2.
reverse.
After the reverse, there's 11 more that day. So, yeah.
interesting.
For those who, please don't disparage other streamers here. I'm sure that I is doing a wonderful job. I really like that guy, and he
Yeah.
chooses to run his channel in the way he does, and I do in my way. And Jamie decides that it's this way. So It's not different
I
strokes
roll.
for different folks.
Weird.
Lefty likes a lefty stroke.
It's like a stranger.
Yeah,
Oh,
he calls it his girlfriend and his
Yeah,
wife.
there are a lot. I would have to really use my finger to count them all.
Okay, more than
That's
Total after 1162-2.
you sure? You sure he doesn't call him his cousin and his
There
sister?
aren't date stamps on these because this chart is the raw stream data, which doesn't have timestamps.
safe to say, you're a man.
Yes.
Now,
Got Baker.
again, this goes back to the question that you were asking Mr. Brennan. I want to follow up on. In no instance were any of those related to
I love
a
RA too. RA's
collision,
awesome.
to your knowledge, correct?
Yeah.
Sustained.
Were any of those that you reviewed at any time, the lifetime of the vehicle, related to a collision?
None of them were triggered by a collision.
Thank you.
No, recovery addict is amazing, and yeah, sometimes chats can have a. Chats are wild sometimes.
Yes, they're kind of like juries. We think we know what they're going to do, but then we end up talking about well, they end up talking about, would you stop talking about, the X-Men and get back to the trial?
No,
No.
I like Colossus. He's my favorite X-Men.
He
I
got
always
really
wanted to be
hosed
Jean
in the
Grey.
new movies. He got really hosed with the new movies, the Deadpool movies, and it just his character is so much better than that.
Yeah, 11 inches is the benchmark now. Who's coming to Brazil with me? I will be planning the itinerary. Well, that will only be a doctor's visit and then picking up some ice.
Sounds
Well,
fun. Let me know when.
Well, it's you might need 11 inches, but you can't get that in Brazil.
I was just getting
I want
away
to ask you a
from my
hypothetical,
children.
if I could, based on questioning by Mr. Brennan surrounding
That's fair. Let's go.
the 12/32/09 lock event. You remember him asking you about those questions about that event?
Yes.
Your analysis was based on
Lol.
the time span. Let me rephrase that. Was your analysis based on Mr. Burgess's and Mr. Welcher's analyses together of a span of time between the 1162-2 text stream event or trigger event and the lock event at 12/32/09?
Objection.
So the question is that what he's considering?
Correct. In other words, was he basing his opinion or analysis on that time frame, at least in part?
So I'll let that question stand.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. If you were told that there was another interaction phone event on John O'Keefe's phone at 12/32/16 in the form of steps taken, 36 steps over the course of 83 feet, would that change your analysis or opinion in any way?
I'll allow that in that form.
Yes.
In what way?
Oh,
If
they
the
are.
phone event
Yeah.
moves from 12/32/09 to
Is it 'cause of the chat window?
12/32/16, then of the
No.
30 possibilities I had in the chart, all of them would become positive. That would mean that that interaction occurs after the end of the vehicle event every single time. Instead of, it was 25 for 30 in the original analysis. The hypothetical would change it to 30 for 30.
All of them, all 30 of them would occur at a point in time. Let me rephrase that. All of them would reflect a scenario in which the phone interaction took place after the trigger event.
That's correct.
Thank you. If you were told, to give you another hypothetical, if you were told that there was a Doppler state event on the phone, pocket state event on the phone at 12/33/14, would that impact your opinion in any way?
Objection.
Sustained.
Got one yesterday.
You were asked several questions about what you believed Mr. Burgess may have gotten wrong in terms of his original report and one of his original analyses dealing with bits and bytes. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Did Mr. Burgess,
Hold on.
of course,
You need to, we have to turn the fans off.
and I'm not speaking loud enough.
Right.
I'm sorry. I'll raise my voice. I just don't want to scream over people, but I will raise my voice.
Let's try this for a few minutes.
May I start again?
That question, yes.
Thank you. you were asked about whether or not you believed that Mr. Burgess was incorrect in terms of certain analyses he undertook or reflected in his original report back in January of 2025, correct?
Correct.
As it relates to the bits and bytes, did you find that Mr. Burgess was incorrect or correct about his analysis concerning the size of the data set collected based on bits versus bytes?
He was incorrect.
Explain that to the jurors very briefly.
These are just different units. A bit is a different size than a byte. And so if a size for something is listed in bits, for example, and you look at the data and assume it's in bytes, you will assume it's the wrong size.
Which Mr. Burgess did based on your review of his report, correct?
Correct.
I want to change gears and ask a different question or series of questions about the text stream data versus the infotainment system data, specifically the timestamps associated therewith. Is there a timestamp associated with text stream data?
In this case, no.
Okay. Is there a timestamp associated with infotainment system data?
Yes.
All right. The infotainment system data, well, let me see if I can ask it a different way. Where did the 3-second delay come from? Your analysis of Mr. Burgess's review of the times of the text stream data or his review of the infotainment system data?
The 3 seconds came, well, fundamentally it came from the exemplar testing where he identified, and he was actually, well, Aperture collectively in that testing identified a difference between when the button was pushed and the time that showed up in the infotainment. But they didn't actually look at, as far as I know, or at least it wasn't provided if they did, how that specifically related to the key on timer itself. But they showed that the button is pushed, there's a 3-second delay, and then the time gets logged.
When that button is pushed for the infotainment system, I'm going to phrase again, so I'm as clear as I can. When that button is pushed for the on event, the key on event, is that like a stopwatch? A stopwatch starts running? Timer?
In the VCH system, yes.
Okay. Separate and apart from the VCH system, is there an infotainment system that also has a timer or a clock on it?
Has a clock.
Are those two things independent of one another?
Completely independent.
What were you doing with regard to the 3-second delay as it relates to the key on event and the infotainment system event to marry those two things together?
Right. I'm making the adjustment, or proposing that adjustment can be made, because the key on timer is going to start generally as soon as the vehicle powers on. But the infotainment, when you go and download the data, it will say, hey, I think I powered on at this time, and it turns out that time is actually 3 seconds off. So if you're going to then apply the infotainment time anywhere else to VCH data, you've got to realign the two. And that's where the 3 seconds comes from, is these are independent data sources.
Did Mr. Burgess, to your review of his, insofar as your review of his analysis, his report is concerned, did he align the two vis-a-vis the 3-second delay?
No, he did not.
With the court's permission, may we have slide 10 of the PowerPoint of,
Okay.
and that is, we talked a lot about PowerPoints of Mr. DeSoger's PowerPoint. Can you highlight the table on the left, Mr. Wolk? Thank you. Did you create this table?
No.
Was this table, I don't know if you call it cut and paste or if there's some better engineering term for it, was it basically pulled from Mr. Burgess's report?
It was. It was a screenshot.
Thank you, screenshot. Did you type a single word on this?
I did not. I added a green box.
Put a green box around it?
Yes.
You didn't type anything on this.
I did not.
You were asked a ton of questions just a few minutes ago about whether or not the column on the left and the center column were reflective of an infotainment timestamp versus an iPhone to iPhone timestamp, correct?
That's right.
Mr. Brennan asked you a bunch of questions about that left column being an iPhone. The top 5 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. Remember that?
Yes.
Read the name that Mr. Burgess labeled that column.
Infotainment call timestamps.
So what, as an expert, what did you presume he, as an expert, was presuming?
Objection.
Sustain.
What did you presume that meant to you, just to you?
Call timestamps from the infotainment.
So if anything is wrong with your analysis, Would it be based on Mr. Burgess being wrong in his analysis? Objection.
Sustained.
Beer, diddly beer, beer.
Oh, Brandon, yes.
What
It's
game
like
is it
those
from?
pink.
May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
I think it's from
Do you need the light
Dumbo.
on?
I don't. And we can pull that down.
I remember it from some video game.
Or maybe I'm
Sounds
thinking
like a
of
Homer
the-
Simpson thing.
What was your
yeah,
entire
it might be.
analysis predicated on? What was it based on? The foundation of it, as you explained your analysis to Mr. during the course of the day.
The testing by Aperture and the collective reports and PowerPoint presentations by Aperture. That would be an initial report by Mr. Burgess, an initial PowerPoint by Dr. Welcher, and a supplemental report by Mr. Burgess.
Did you change any of their data?
No,
Did you change any of their analyses?
no,
Did you explain their analyses?
yes.
Objection.
Sustained, ask it differently.
Sure. What were you trying to do in terms of your presentation, in your PowerPoint, and the presentation to the story?
There were a number of different methodologies presented across all of those reports and PowerPoints, and sort of all in different places. So my goal was to bring all of them into one place so we could look at the totality of the data.
You were asked whether the genesis of your analysis relies on knowing the source of the calls, correct? Remember being asked that by Mr. Brennan?
Yes,
The actual genesis of your entire opinion is based on Mr. Burgess's and Mr. Welcher's analyses, correct?
that's correct.
You were also asked why you believed Mr. Burgess did a quote unquote more detailed report in May versus January of 2025. Remember being asked that just a few minutes ago?
Yes,
When you presented your analysis, your math, based on Mr. Burgess's January 2025 report, how many of the scenarios indicated based on his data and his analysis that the lock event occurred after its execution?
all of them.
Thank you. That's all I have, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Brennan.
Oh, dang it. We
So
have
we're
to
gonna
end with
be
him.
done soon.
You're
can't
mean,
say
he's mean.
This demonstrates the danger or the difficulty.
Hold on. Start the
It's
question
cross-examination.
differently.
Yeah, you can't do a speech just because it's cross-examination, you idiot.
That's testifying.
Go ahead, Mr.
This demonstrates the difficulty in giving opinions when you don't actually study the data itself. Isn't that fair to say?
No.
What are you referring to with this?
Well, you're giving opinions, but you can't verify any of the data because you're not relying on your study of the data, are you?
I'm relying on expert reports.
You're criticizing somebody's but you yourself can't defend data that you haven't actually analyzed and broken down yourself.
I don't think that's true.
When you're looking at
Yeah, he looks like Freddie Prinze Jr.
You're guessing
He
as
does.
to what they thought or presumed if you haven't spoken to them. Fair?
I would say I'm reading the words that are in front of me and interpreting them for what they say.
When someone plugs their iPhone into a car after it turns on, and the car reads data that's on the iPhone, that data then resides on the infotainment system, correct?
There's a transfer of data.
And
Yes.
so unless you actually do the study yourself, you had no way of knowing if that information, although on the iPhone, on the infotainment system, you had no idea whether it was from an iPhone or from the infotainment. Fair?
That's right. I don't think that's
And so when you don't actually do the work yourself, and you just presume or you guess, you could get it wrong, couldn't you?
if I had guessed, yes, but I didn't guess. I used the data in the reports and I referenced the testing that Aperture did. So I did not make a guess.
1 through 5, and you telling me right now, with a reasonable degree of data certainty, that that information is based on the infotainment block. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know.
You don't know. But if you actually
If it's not based on the infotainment system, your expert's report is wrong. You are wrong, and you should sit down, shut up, and say sorry, and
Yeah.
ask for the judge to release Karen Reed. You are now saying that you can't rely on one single word said by your own expert who relied on the same data and write it into report, which the jury will then have to rely on to make their conclusion. You are shitting in your own nest, as we say in Denmark.
Yeah, it's really not the hill you want to die on. My expert's a moron who lied, but you're a moron for following him. I don't
Yeah.
know how you win this equation.
You did the analysis yourself rather than just running one quarterback and somebody's report.
Objection.
So I'm going to strike it, ask it differently, Mr.
You
Wall.
actually did the analysis yourself. You wouldn't have to make a presumption that you'd be wrong, correct?
I don't think the analysis was possible in this case because the testing wasn't done in this case.
You don't know if the testing was done or not. You didn't do the
Objection,
testing.
Your Honor.
So I need to hear the question.
You don't know if the testing was done or not, do you?
I know it's in the reports.
None
The
of us
testing
do.
wasn't in the reports.
Did you read Jessica Hyde's report?
No.
Did you read Ian Wood's report?
No.
You don't know if that testing was done, do you?
I don't.
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to let that stand.
You don't.
I do not, sir.
And so if you're wrong, your assumptions and product are then wrong.
Part of my conclusions would change. I wouldn't agree that I'm wholesale wrong.
Well, as a scientist, if they're not accurate, that would be wrong, wouldn't it?
I don't think we want to stand in that glass house and throw stones, Mr. Brennan.
Sort of like claiming that you're pursuing a degree.
Not exactly accurate, is it?
I would have to look on the data to see if a 4-ounce cup could, because I don't understand ounces and gallons. But just on my expertise and my knowledge, I, to a scientific degree of certainty, will say that recipe is wrong.
Doesn't seem right.
That might be a nuanced answer.
I'm sorry?
I'd say that might be a nuanced answer. Frankly, I'm not sure how to give you a good answer to that
If you
question.
have the wrong data when you're doing your analysis, then the final analysis is going to be wrong. If you have using the wrong data, it's that simple.
Yes.
Right? You don't have to be a scientist to
But
Oh, I
it's
hate
your
you.
data.
How,
He's such
what
an
are you
idiot.
proving here, Brennan?
He's trying to
Yes,
say
okay.
What he's trying to do is say, you use these numbers, but you don't know why you're using these numbers or how they came up with these numbers. So you're clearly wrong.
And didn't
Yeah,
you
so what you
transitive
decided or what
property.
you came to the conclusion that is wrong, yes.
But
Exactly.
just like I know a lot of lawyers don't understand math, but data is data. Just because someone asks you, Mr. Burgess said 2 + 2 is 4. Can you verify that? You don't have to go and say, oh, he used Indian numerals. Let me make up my own numeral system where I try to find out if he's right or wrong. You just say, oh, well, I know 2 and I know 2 and I know combined they give 4. Yes, based on the data in the report, Mr. Burgess is right. You don't need to verify all the data by your own testing. You can just say, I'm looking at it, it looks right, I'm agreeing. Because he should have everything he relies on in his report should be in his report. It doesn't matter what Hyde or anyone else put in there. Because if I remember correctly, Welcher didn't testify he was relying on Hyde or Whiffen either. But I could be wrong.
If we could have Mr. Welcher's 33.
He's so fed up with him.
Yeah.
No, because I think he believes he has a point.
Could open out, please? You were asked about whether
Good.
the window is within the time frame of 12/32/09, the last user interaction with the phone. When you look at this data, go to the top, please.
I'll be back from the
You
US before
see
that.
on vehicle speed, the car is moving. You see that? Could you enlarge that a little bit, please? The beginning of that data capture, the car's already moving, correct?
I see vehicle speeds right in those first couple of lines. Yes.
Yes?
Yes, I see
Yes.
vehicle speed.
If you go to the bottom, at the end, the car is still moving. Yes?
I see vehicle speeds there as well.
2361. That would indicate, in your experience with text stream data, the car is still moving. Yes?
At the end of the record, there is a vehicle speed. The car is moving. That would be my assumption.
Okay.
He
so
testified to
when you
that
are
before.
making your conclusions that something's with or without, you're simply talking about the time of the 10 seconds of data. Yes?
He's said that continuously.
Yeah, everything.
Your own expert talked about it. Your own expert was even saying, I think the car would have continued accelerating.
Thing that I've done has been referencing the end of event 1162-2, which is exactly how it's been referenced in all of the other reports.
That 10-second window. Yes?
Not even the window, just the end. Everything in the Aperture reports talks about the end of event 1162-2. So that's what I used across everything.
And when you say end of event, you're referring just to data, not the actual real life event.
Yeah, absolutely. The end of the recording.
Okay.
Mhm.
And
That
so
is the end of the live
after
event.
that window, 12:32:04 to 12:32:12. You were asked a question about what might have happened 4 seconds later, 12:32:16. Remember you were asked about that?
Yes.
Did you know at 12:32:16 that John O'Keefe's cell phone moved for the last time? Did you know that?
No.
And between 12:32:12, which is in the 10-second window, and 12:32:16, do you know what John O'Keefe was doing in that 4-second period?
No.
Do you know if he was walking?
No.
Do you know if he was crawling?
No.
Do you know if he was falling?
No.
You don't know.
I do not know.
Neither did your expert.
Neither do you or any of your people.
12:32:16 wasn't just that Mr. O'Keefe's phone was moving, the steps.
I didn't review the phone data, so I don't know.
Do you review anything that indicate that steps were taken over the course of 2050?
Yes.
So that's sustained.
That's out of the scope. We didn't get into any
You were
of
asked a
this.
second ago. What about the data? What was wrong? Then you'd be wrong, correct?
Generally, yes.
Garbage in, garbage out. Basic scientific postulate, correct?
Generally, yes.
You're relying on whose data?
Mr. Burgess's data and Dr. Welcher's data.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. DeSoger, you are all
Did
set.
he end on
So you can
that?
step down. I'm going to see counsel for a
Boom.
minute. Jurors, feel free to stay.
He did exactly what we wanted him to say. Ask him if the Commonwealth was shitty.
Now or not, and I'm going to let you know. So
He did exactly what he should. He is implying that the data is wrong. Where did you get your data? I got it from him. Thank you. I would say this was worse. I can't hear you when you're that far away from your microphone.
In the words of the great Ric Flair.
Oh, wow. This is,
There will be a short voir dire in a few minutes.
oh, voir dire on a Friday.
Well, I'm going to voir dire a beer.
Yes, let me get my solo cup filled.
I'm so ready for this week to be over with this nonsense. I'm ready for Friday to begin. Jamie, why do you hate me? Let's put this all
Put this all
on the line. Why do you hate me, Jamie? I love you. I respect you.
When has those words ever come out of my mouth?
Baker tells me all the time. You talk smack. That's what he
Baker
says.
tells Baker is a gossip.
As soon as I'm gone,
What are you talking
you guys
about?
sit around and talk smack about me, and all you do is talk about how much you hate me and you can't stand me, and tattoos are stupid and dreadlocks are not for white people. Oh, that's all I hear. It's all I
Not for white people.
Yep. That's all I hear out of Baker.
Oh my God. Don't ever listen to him. We'll talk.
Try that.
If anything you need to learn in life, people, is Baker is a gossip queen. He loves to start drama for no reason.
Oh, yesterday.
Only
after
with me
posted
though.
that-
Like he likes to start it with me and whoever else he can get his hands on.
I never ever started drama in my life.
You start drama in my life all the time.
Was that allowed? Garbage in, garbage out? Yeah, because he was just asking about the data feed. So that's absolutely fine. Doink think that was a wink from Hank. Well, Doink is an idiot.
They all
Brendan,
do.
are you ready?
I'm not. I've still got.
Brendan, are you ready? Are you ready? Brendan, are you
He's been
ready?
drinking all afternoon. He's been ready.
He's sleeping.
Cheers.
He's lubed up.
Mm,
Always blame Baker. Yeah.
yeah, that's the best strategy in life.
Jesus Christ, how big is that cup?
52 ouncer.
It's like a pony keg. What the hell you got going on over there?
I mix up some concoctions.
So
Come
your
on.
hate potions.
Don't go anywhere, Nanya. Apparently, we are getting a voir dire. Brendan isn't ready.
Oh, you better hurry up, man.
Wife is nearby. Save yourself. Well, in memory of of the fun times we had with Brennan before his wife found out.
Slow down. Count or something. There's a lot of foam,
Count what?
man. There's a lot of foam. Just give me a second.
You can't shotgun a beer. You can't pour a beer.
It's the cup.
It's the cup.
Still not there. The
I'll do a
cup's
half.
like-
Well,
it's shaped funny. You can't pour smooth into that thing.
you just tip it like any other glass and pour it down the side.
Who is getting a voir dire today, though?
I don't know. I was told there will be a short voir dire. I'll try and check.
There's a bunch of goats yelling outside my window. It really threw me off for a minute.
Oh, I'm just curious. Like, who did they have there?
What the hell?
I can't see. Aiden just put up that something about. I can't see anything. Well, while we're waiting,
Skull.
for the last Friday beer, in this case, hopefully.
At least the last
Because
one.
I won't be on screen next Friday.
At all?
Well, while I'm sitting
got
waiting
plans?
I'm going to be here when the expert tries to get out of bed, but you know, it's going to take some time.
Ugh. I might have took that one out of the fridge a little too early. I'm going to go figure out what these goats are screaming about. I'll be right back.
In 2 weeks. No. They said they were going to put on a case for a week and a half, and then I rely on the jury to laugh at Beva and then just throw the papers back in her face.
Well, yeah.
Blue moon of Kentucky, keep on shining, shine on the one be blue. 12:30, I don't day drink. Well, that sounds like a you problem. For me, it's 9:30, so I can do it.
Yeah.
But I can talk about this while we are waiting. Next week, dear friends, over on Rumble. Now I finally got some action going over there. We had like 36 people before. That was nice. Now we're down to 23. Next week will be a little bit choppy because I won't be here and Rumble is stupid. I can set up all my YouTube streams so Marissa doesn't have to do it, but I can only set up one Rumble stream at a time and only within 24 hours. So I'll set up the morning stream so she can dual stream. She can't pull up. Well, I think she can. Well, we won't burden her. Anime Rumpe will be there to take care of you guys. And the afternoon stream won't be on Rumble because I, knock on wood, will be south of Greenland when that's supposed to happen. Tuesday, because I can set it up for my phone, so she'll just text me that she's done with the morning stream, and hopefully I can set everything up for the afternoon stream as well. So Monday, I won't be able to do it, and Monday after, I will also be somewhere over the Atlantic. I probably will be able to set up the morning stream before I leave Knoxville. So thank you all for joining over on Rumble as well. It's nice to grow. But yeah.
You are unmuted.
And we're back. Because you can't give admin on Rumble, you'll have to give me logins. And that's a little bit dangerous. Not that I don't trust you. So who are we watching?
So you're going to step up, face the clerk, and raise your right hand.
You solemnly swear the evidence you give the court in the case now and herein should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Actually, you take the stand.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I know this is a reluctant opportunity. There is a witness outside. Just to get her.
Sure. Is she right outside the door?
Last time I checked.
Do you mind, sir, if you can stay right there?
Sure.
And it'll just be a few minutes, okay? Ms. Gianetti, when do you need this witness back? Monday?
Who is she, and why did he go out to look for someone?
I'm wondering if they have to voir dire several people.
I'm thinking it might be the new 4 witnesses. I'm trying to see if I can see who it is.
So I'm going to need her at a microphone. Do you have one on council table there?
We do not.
So the podium, or one of those back where Eugenia is. Thank you. No, there's a microphone a little closer. We're just follow the.
Thank you so much.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hello.
Could you tell me your name, please?
Kelly Dever.
And Ms. Dever, you've been summoned here. I think I saw you earlier. You've been here all day?
Yes.
All right. So we're not going to reach you today, unfortunately, but you were summoned to be here?
Yes.
All right. So that summons is still good until we reach you. So you're going to have to come back Monday morning, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you agree to do so?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll see you Monday morning. Be here before 9, okay?
Will do.
She is the witness who got a phone call from from Sergeant Goody asking what address was it, and she said Fairview 32. And I think she was the one who got Bill Reed's phone call that his daughter was Meidel.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Mr. Lessie. Oh, geez,
That was a big compliment, Your Honor. Thank you.
Please have a Toyota tech lined up. I don't think they have any Toyota techs. I think these might be the people who did the Proctor text. I'm not sure.
Good afternoon, sir. Would you please state your name and spell your last name?
Jonathan Diamandis, Diamandis.
You've also been here all day.
Yes,
Sorry for making you wait.
no problem.
Do you know former State Trooper Michael Proctor?
I do.
How do you know him?
I've known him since middle school, probably the 6th grade.
Grew up with him, essentially?
Grew up with him, been friends for 30 years.
Okay, and if you just keep your voice up,
Sure, yeah.
I'm sure other people can hear you, but this
So
old guy.
can we turn off the fans and the air conditioning? Are they all off?
Oh, they're bringing in his friends.
We're just
From
gonna
the
Oh my
chat
gosh,
group.
why does he look like the expert? Put some sunglasses on
Absolutely,
him.
sure.
Much better, thank you.
Yeah, no one has seen this guy and the expert in the same room.
So you,
And maybe the sunglasses is because of the lazy eye.
That's not.
you say you've known him since middle school, elementary school,
Yes,
graduated high school with him,
yes,
and are you friends after
Has he always
high
been a
school
corrupt
as
piece
well?
of shit?
yes,
Do you have his cell phone number in your phone?
I do.
Have you texted with him over the years?
I have.
In fact, were you on a group text chain with him that lasted a number of years?
Yes.
I
Is this
would
guy a
like to
cop?
show you a document, sir, and I'm going to ask you to read
I'm not sure if he's the cop from Tennessee. I think it's a local guy.
it to yourself, familiarize yourself with it, and then when you're done, look
But
at
it's
it.
to lay
Okay.
foundation so they can testify without bringing Proctor in. So if this guy say, I don't remember that text, they will have to have Proctor in. If he says, yes, I remember this text,
Would you like this marked for
it's not
identification
hearsay.
first, Your Honor?
Yes.
I think that's why.
He looks like he had a meth habit in his 20s.
He just got very
If you're going to have a method, do it in your 20s, not in your 50s.
That's fair.
fair point. I mean, for everything there is a season, even your addiction to crystal.
That's the rule that Brennan gave me if I'm picking up a lot lizard. Make sure that she had it in her 20s,
Thank
not in her 50s.
Brennan's always staring us right.
That's why we like having Brandon as a mod. He makes sure our degeneracy is kept in check.
He is.
By always
He is
being
Yeah,
just a
actually
little
my-
more
that's-
degenerate.
Directed
That's it.
accordingly. That's how I would say
Yeah.
it.
Because I don't see age,
It's not
color,
the
or
Iliad,
race.
sir. I before E except after C. Come on, Junior.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's not the Zapruder film.
We're about to find out, Marissa. Yeah. Yeah.
Please tell me they have text in there making fun of Bev. That would be hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Can you go to page 28, where he says, "Oh, I'm going off to testify in court today with this skanky old woman who has a place at the Cape and smells like she's marinated in White Claw. I think her name is Bev." Is that on page 28?
That would be funny.
Yeah.
And even funnier would be if his friend said, "Hey, does she have nudes?" Or scarier. I don't know. It's a very fine line.
Read faster.
Oh my gosh. Today, Junior? I mean, I'm not
It's an
trying to be a
awful long
jerk.
text thread.
Well, it did go back to their high school years. You know what he's thinking right now is, God dang it, my friend got me. I have waited all damn day. Michael, I'm a...
You got me mixed up in this.
Not explaining the lineage of Jesus. What the hell is going on here? It's like 3 texts per page. I've been looking at the pages as they
He just
flip.
shook his head no. Did you see him? He's like, God damn it. I'm going to have to read this.
Well, I don't think
be
any of his
pissed.
friends said anything as nasty as Crocker did, right?
Just in, Juris has gone home for a John O'Keefe Karen Reed retrial. Hank Brennan has just flexed his cross skills for the world to see.
Was he watching the same trial we were? And also, if he was, what kind of gummies
Yes.
did he
Does
have?
that look familiar to you?
Oh, he's
Yes.
super
What do
high.
you recognize it to be?
It looks to be a text chain with a group of my friends that I grew up with.
Okay. And so
Oh, he's the
would
construction guy.
all of
Thank you,
those
sir.
friends have been people that you went to high school with?
Not all the same high school, but the same time. Some of us went to different schools.
And you were
I can't, he blocked me.
friends during that era?
Yes.
And you've remained friends for how many years since then?
I mean, we've been friends for 30 plus years, probably.
Do you know precisely when that text chain started?
I do not know when the text chain started.
Months, years?
Years, definitely years.
And that's a portion, in other words, there's a start time and an end time to that, but the text chain started before the start time that's listed on that document?
That's correct.
Now, I'd like to ask you about 5 different categories of information that allow you to identify the text chain. First of all, directing your attention to page 1. That is an unredacted
Hey,
version of
Baker,
this.
pause real quick.
Do
For the dumb among us, is Yannetti now taking away everything in the motion that Mr. Brennan filed about the friends testifying about the text chain? Basically, if they can authenticate it as being something
Yes.
that they, so he's taking care of that.
This is why they're having the idea to testify that it's not hearsay.
Okay, thanks. Like for the blonde who lie about it among us, I was just making sure.
do you see your phone number on page 1?
I do.
And is that accurate
Yes.
in terms of your phone number?
It is.
Do you have a passcode on your phone?
On my phone, yes, I do.
All right, and have you had that for years?
Yes,
So as of January of 2022, you would have had a passcode to get into your phone, correct?
correct.
With regard to
Timu Eric
the
Bana.
typing of text messages, you didn't appear to be too active on this thread. Is that correct?
Not from what I see here.
Did you see one entry that you actually did text?
Yes, one.
Okay, and I think these page numbers, they're all numbered. Could you direct us to the page where you actually chimed in? And if I suggested to you, it might be 4 from the end. And you don't have to read the actual text, sir. I just want to.
Sure. I'm just trying to locate it. Yes, I see it.
Okay, and the time of that, a date and time of that text as it's reflected on this document?
February 2nd, 2022, 12:38 p.m.
Okay, and what you type.
I have a different copy.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's for the record. It's on page.
What's the bottom page number?
I like that he got a brand new tux for the or suit for this.
For the record, reading what is typed there, does that sound consistent with something you might chime in a text message, a text chain of this sort?
I mean, it could be. I have no memory of actually typing it, but
sure,
that's not something. I mean, it could have been something that I would say. Yeah.
At the very last line of that text, do you mention somebody's nickname?
Yes.
And what nickname
Chip.
is that?
Chip.
And whom do you know as Chip?
Michael Proctor.
Now, going back to the first page, there are a number of other phone numbers there. Have you checked your phone prior to taking the stand today to match those phone numbers with other friends of yours?
Yes.
And if you could, and hopefully you remember them all, can you list by first name only your friends who are included in this text chain?
Sure.
So, yeah. So let's not, if he recognizes, I don't want to put names out.
Oh, I don't either, Judge. That's why I was saying first names. But if that's sufficient that he recognizes.
Why don't you refer to the last 2 digits in the phone?
Sure.
The names are already out there.
Is that acceptable, Mr. Brennan?
He was just trying to create foundation. Okay. What the hell is?
You see, I'll list the last 2.
Well, it's not too. We are talking about witnesses, so why should their names be out there? They're not Proctor. So I think it's okay to say, okay, I remember the number ending in 22, remember the number ending in 56, and the number ended in 19. All of these numbers I know. Protect the guy. They can't have, well, they could find better friends, but they're not part of this.
Digits of the phone numbers that don't have a name associated with them. Okay?
Okay.
If I may just have a moment.
Yes.
Well, I thought that everybody had the witness list.
Of course.
That's why I didn't think.
Okay, starting with the phone number that ends in 51. After you checked your contacts, is that a friend of yours?
Yes, it is.
Who was on the text chain?
Correct.
With regard to the phone number that ends in 68, same question. Is that a friend of yours who was on the text chain?
Correct.
And with regard to 45, which is the next one, again, a friend of yours who was on the text chain?
That's me.
Oh, I'm sorry. That is you,
yeah.
Of course. With regard to 95, is that a friend of yours who was on the text chain?
Yes, it is.
And
well, we got
with regard to
93,
same question, friend of yours on the text chain?
Yes.
And then there are 3 numbers there, one that ends in 11, one that ends in 46, and one that ends in 82. Do you see that those particular numbers have a nickname associated with them?
Yes.
Those nicknames, do you recognize them as being also friends of yours who are on the text chain?
I do.
And then finally, there is somebody listed as local user. We'll get back to that one.
Okay.
With regard to the other ones that you've just identified, sir, have you texted back and forth with them on those phone numbers over the years?
Yes.
And also with regard to this particular text thread?
Yes.
All right. Now, I'd also ask you with regard to the content of these messages and who said what, and particularly focusing on the one that's identified as local user. Having read that text chain, were you able to determine who local user is?
Yes.
And who is that?
Michael Proctor.
And was that by...
Well, again, shame them all you want, but there's no reason to put their names out there. I understand why Beth doesn't want them. You can look at the motions, just mention then the last digits. It's fine.
I didn't say most of their first names in the first trial. Like I don't think it's that big.
He mentioned two first names.
I get it, but still.
Well,
I mean, I don't care either way.
No, I don't care either way either, but I understand why she's doing it. It's kind of like keeping the kids out and then Peg mentioned the name of the niece 45,000 times.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can understand why they're doing it. I mean, again, these people didn't ask to be in this hell tornado of Karen Reed. I mean, they were just on a group chat text. So
yeah, they just had a fraternity group chat going with, oh man, I banged the wife yesterday. It's the best 3 inches she got. Yeah, I did 3 pumps.
This is Tracy. This is Proctor's friend.
You recognized it?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is Proctor's friend. We are here to lay foundation so Proctor doesn't have to testify about the text messages because he can plead the fifth. He can be obnoxious. He can do whatever he wants. So they would rather call these friends because they don't have a dog in the fight, but only Michael Wick had that. And
I see what you did.
Is this wait?
Oh,
don't do that. Is this only for them to be able to testify, though? You know what I'm saying? Because, like, I know they put them on.
It's to lay foundation so they can bring them in to witness that they had these texts sent and they've acknowledged them, they've seen them. It's hearsay if they don't.
Yeah, and Brennan was already trying to preemptively block this.
This isn't necessarily to say Proctor's not going to testify, but to voir dire them in case he pulls some BS and they have to call these people, right?
No.
Is this what we think is happening?
This is to keep Proctor out.
Are you sure?
Whether
Yes.
this
I'm not
is
sure why they would want to do that,
complete, accurate
Because
record
he is
of
a
what
hand
looks to
grenade.
be.
Let's
What
not
is your
fight like
wild
yesterday.
testimony in that regard?
I believe this to be a record of our text chain for this period of time.
Appears to be accurate and complete.
It does.
If I may have a moment, Your Honor.
Okay.
What is Hank going to get up and bloviate about? You're not Proctor. Did you know Mr. Burgess found an SD card?
The text message chain that you read fairly and accurately represent the circumstances of the conversation that was going on?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Mr. Brennan?
Good morning.
Morning. Good afternoon.
Good morning, idiot.
Do you have an independent memory of any of the text conversations in the package that you reviewed?
I do not have a memory of this happening.
Thank you.
Well, that isn't.
He just verified that it was
Yeah.
complete and accurate,
You're
but he doesn't remember it
You
happening.
Step down.
Okay. Thank you.
Your Honor, given that unfortunately this witness was not reached by the jury today, I would like him recognized as well.
He has counsel here with him, right? Does he have counsel here with him? All right, sir, you'll make sure your client is here when we need him?
I will do so, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
My name is Thomas.
Why does he have a lawyer?
This is in Boston.
You know, I'd get a lawyer too, just in case.
He's been very helpful.
All right. So, sir, you can leave.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, and thank you, Mr. Campbell. We'll see you. We'll let you know when we need you back. It's probably going to be Monday first thing.
Or he cheated on his wife and he doesn't want those texts out. That's my headcanon.
Both of them. This guy and then, well, another guy who I don't know if they have
Hear
the
you,
same
Mr.
guy as
Manning.
counselor.
My understanding is there's an objection, so I did not respond to the objection.
I want to hear you as to why this is admissible. Why this is admissible.
Oh.
And I just got a moment.
Ooh, he's getting case law, hopefully.
So, Your Honor, with regard, I assume we're just dealing with authenticity at this point?
No, we're dealing with both. You're the proponent of the testimony, so let's deal with both.
Okay, all right. So regarding authenticity, Your Honor, there are several ways that are either independent or connected with each other by which or through which a party can authenticate text messages. The majority of the case law out there are defendants having appealed judges' decisions to admit text messages offered by the Commonwealth, and the majority of the case law that exists affirm judges' allowance of text messages into evidence. The Commonwealth filed a memorandum in opposition to these text messages being admitted, and not one of the cases cited by the Commonwealth apply here or are appropriate. The case of Commonwealth versus Purdy, in that case, the Commonwealth introduced text messages from computers seized at a massage parlor. The defendant objected that there was no evidence that he had.
Go back and check the tape, because Mo and Jamie is just, me and Hello was, what? What?
I was trying to write notes. Massage parlor,
Just
though.
massage parlor, and I just looked up and could see, oh. Oh my. Oh my.
Authored any of the, these actually were emails, not text messages, any of the emails that were admitted into evidence. Nobody saw him do it. Nobody saw him type it, and nobody discussed any of the emails with him. But the SJC cited a longstanding rule, including Rule of Evidence 901B1, evidence may be authenticated by direct or circumstantial evidence. And the circumstantial evidence is essentially what we covered here in court today: the appearance of the electronic communications, the content, the substance, internal patterns, or other distinctive characteristics. Commonwealth versus Welch, it was a murder case where a boyfriend killed his girlfriend, was charged with killing his girlfriend, was convicted. The Commonwealth sought to introduce text messages.
Yes, it's a hearsay. It's not first-hand knowledge. That's why they want to have him in, so they don't have to call Proctor, because who knows what Proctor's going to do.
Between them, and various text messages from the victim's cell phone were admitted into evidence because, for one reason, they referenced the defendant's distinctive nickname. And in this case, we have a text chain with 3 nicknames, all of whom the witness recognized as being his friends. We have more to authenticate this text chain than in any case I have seen, and also more than in any case the Commonwealth has cited. In this case, we have an identification of every phone number pursuant to the last 2 digits. We have an identification of Michael Proctor's message relating to the contents. We have evidence of the witness's cell phone requiring a passcode, meaning that in order for his phone to be active in this chain, he would have had to have unlocked the phone with the passcode. And he testified that what was in the content of the message that he identified as being his is consistent with something that he would have said. And not only that, but he adds a fourth nickname, that being Chip, that being Michael Proctor. The Commonwealth, with regard to Commonwealth versus Welch, which is again cited in their memorandum, this opposition, Your Honor, they state what appear to be rock solid black and white legal principles, but when you scratch below the surface and you actually read the case stands for nothing in terms of what they've represented it to be. They stated that in Welch, the court must find that each and every communication was authored by the individual member of the group. That's just plain false. The case doesn't say that at all. It's nowhere in that case. And in fact, the messages were let in again because of the circumstances and the content of the messages. Commonwealth versus Raposa, another case that they cite. The defense sought to call a neighbor to testify that he had seen the victim alive after the defendant had confessed to having shot him, another murder case. The problem was that the neighbor denied making the statement, so the defense wanted to call the neighbor for the sole purpose of impeaching him with his prior statement that he supposedly made to the police and use that statement as substantive evidence. So in that case, the defendant wanted to use an out-of-court statement for its truth. It was rank hearsay. That case had nothing to do with text messages or statements used to show state of mind or electronic communications. But somehow it makes its way into the Commonwealth's memorandum. Commonwealth versus Rajiv R., which is the second to last case that they cite, that dealt with a search warrant done at a juvenile's home. The police officer in that case was allowed to testify to what he was seeking, which was the goal of the search warrant, a firearm allegedly in the juvenile's possession. And he was also allowed to testify to what the juvenile's mother did during the execution of the search warrant, which is she directed the police to the juvenile's bedroom. The Commonwealth cited that case to say you can't use hearsay when trying to prove a Bowden defense or present a Bowden defense. That case had nothing to do with Bowden. The evidence was admitted to explain what the...
Eddie, they have done it so many times, and she knows he lies, and she just don't give a F.
Police were doing in the home. So it's a situation where, there are times when, the police stop somebody on the street, or the police get a search warrant and then they show up at a home. And rather than just have them magically appear at the home with the warrant, the police are allowed to give some circumstances as to how they got there. Nothing to do with Bowden. It's just giving the jury a fuller picture. Yet it was represented to you by the Commonwealth that, geez, this is a Bowden issue and you can't use hearsay to present a Bowden defense. Commonwealth versus Sullivan, exact same situation. Testimony was admitted about DNA on evidence matching the defendant's DNA from a national database. The Commonwealth cites three principles. It's almost like they're setting a standard down that the court is supposed to follow with three factors. But again, none of the three principles that the Commonwealth cites is found in Sullivan at all. They're not even mentioned in the case. They're simply made up and put in a memo to ask this court to do something that the case does not support. And again, it has nothing to do with Bowden. So now we come to the arguments about the fact that the Commonwealth is claiming that these statements are hearsay. They're not. These statements contain insults of my client. I'll be kind and just mention the word.
So I read them.
Yes. Okay. Well, I mean, Your Honor, if you're going to allow this into evidence, I'll stop talking. Otherwise, I have to make my argument.
I understand what you mean by insults.
Okay. Okay. So I won't even mention them then. The Commonwealth is essentially arguing that we're offering these text messages to show that the insults were true. That's a silly argument. Obviously, we're not. Hearsay has three components. These are all statements out of court. None of them are offered for the truth of the matter asserted. None of them. Even the statement when Michael Proctor says that the homeowner's not going to catch any grief because he's a Boston cop. We don't know if that's true or not true. It's offered to show that Michael Proctor believes it's true. He's the lead investigator in the case. He has input into the case.
Of course
he can decide who's investigated or not investigated. At least that's our argument. It's all consistent with our defense. It's offered to show his state of mind. Everything that he says is offered to show his state of mind and to show his bias. He, as the lead investigator, his bias in what he does or doesn't do. And in fact, Mr. Brennan said in sidebar earlier when we started this conversation that Bolden deals with what was done or what was not done. We're entitled to explore what was not done and not done, and we're entitled to explore why. We have evidence of why. We have Michael Proctor's words about why he did or didn't interview people separately, why he waited, for instance, a year and a half to interview a plow driver who was out there on January 29th, why he treated some people with kid gloves and other people with brass knuckles. He's stating it in these text messages. She's going to go down for this. We're going to pin it on the girl. We're going to make sure that there are some serious charges. She's effed. Those are what he says about, those are the statements he makes about Karen Reed in the infancy of this investigation. And to the contrary, is anything going to happen to Brian Albert? Nope. He's a Boston cop too. These are all statements about Michael Proctor's state of mind. The prosecutor and I have been over the statements. I realize he's objecting to the admission of these statements. I don't think he has a legal argument that passes muster to do that, but should the court allow them in, we're agreed on everything except for 3 entries, which I think we could deal with pretty quickly. And unless the court has questions, I'd rest on that.
No, but I'd appreciate a copy of whatever you've agreed upon.
Okay.
So it's been a long day for staff, so I don't need to sit here and go through each one. Just get me a copy of what.
Oh my God, shut up.
So this is the only marked copy. I'm happy to hand it to the court.
And you can take care of it and email it in.
Your staff works barely 9 to
So,
5.
Mr. Brennan, I'd like to hear you on admissibility. I haven't decided
God, Brennan.
admissibility. And I'll hear you on authentication.
Oh, Lord, this bloviating butthole. He's about as useful as tits on a bull, let's be real. Don't milk him either. He's a bull.
On the first issue of authenticity, this witness has no memory of any of the text messages. I think it's fair to conclude he's on the text message string. He recognizes the people on it, but there is no authenticity if he doesn't recognize them. The person that could best authenticate these text messages is Michael Proctor. This witness does nothing as far as identifying the individual text messages and whether they're reliable, whether there's been any additions, deletions, whether in sum and substance this is part of the conversation. Notably, I think, according to the questioning by Attorney Yannetti, he's made one comment at the end of the string that really has nothing whatsoever to do with the text messages that are at issue. So authenticity, I don't believe this witness reaches that conclusion for them. Regarding admissibility, I do not dispute that in the right context, these text messages are admissible. If there is an investigator in a case that makes derogatory remarks about an accused, I can't say that doesn't go to bias, nor do I reject the idea that it shows an unfairness or a motivation. But really, you need to put that in context, and I think Attorney Yannetti highlighted that. He says that this is not hearsay, it's how he thought, or whether it affected a particular part of the investigation. It may have, it may not have. Even if he denies that it affected his investigation, it's still an appropriate question to ask just because that type of negative commentary, inappropriate commentary was made. But to explore the state of mind and put it in context, you need to ask the person that you're accusing of having the bias. Because perhaps it did affect the bias. Perhaps the person was very biased and made decisions based on that animus. Or perhaps the person made negative comments but had nothing whatsoever to do with the investigation.
Sure,
It is surmised to say because these comments were made, a witness was not investigated, or there was some other amorphous, undefined ill that happened. That's the whole reason why the witness who made the comments should be confronted with the comments they made so the jury can fairly assess, is this relevant? Is it material? And what is the value of it? I am not opposed to the admission of bias against a witness, especially a police officer.
Just like you're not
But it should
opposed
be
to
against
ARCA.
that witness because they need to have the opportunity to admit, deny, define, accept, and explain. By putting these messages in with sidestepping, calling Mr. Proctor, they are trying to gain the advantage of putting information in front of the jury that has no context, suggesting it has a value that has not been defined, and then, as Mr. Yannetti just did, making an argument that because the comment was merely made, that therefore there was a consequence, and specify a consequence where there's no factual basis to conclude. Because he made a derogatory comment, he didn't investigate or speak to a plow driver for a year and a half. That defeats the purpose of finding the value for which this is being omitted. I do have some issue that it's really not under the context of Bowden, because this doesn't have to do with the adequacy of a police investigation. It has to do with bias. And that purely is the state of mind of the person who made the comment. I would not get in the way of confronting the witness about their bias if they were called to the stand. But to put it in this way invites speculation, it invites manipulation, and it invites a party on either side to portray this in a way that is not factually viable. It will be distracting, confusing to the jury, and it could be unfair for either side because it will
Pretty
lead
sure
to
they don't need your help to find out who to call.
it will lead to arguments about what it means without a factual basis. And so my position
And
is
Bev is going to allow.
I don't necessarily
Of course she is.
disagree that it's relevant, but it should come through Michael Proctor. And if the defense wants the value, they should call
Yeah, he
Michael
called
Proctor.
her a C word.
Mr. Yannetti, do you want to respond?
I know we're late for I won't belabor the points. I would state the following very as succinctly as I can, which is, yes, it goes to bias, but it also goes to the adequacy of the
No, they are allowed to call Proctor, but he can then plead the fifth.
evaluation. The two concepts are intertwined. If you're biased or exhibit bias, the defense should be able to argue that the investigation was not adequate. I would note Mr. Brennan is not sitting at defense counsel table in this case. We appreciate the offer to help us with strategy about which witness we should call, but that's solely the province of the defense to determine
Helen, what?
which witness we want to use to authenticate
That's the
and
language
admit
Jamie
text
used to
messages. That's
use.
our choice.
Yeah.
And we should not be deprived of that choice because Mr. Brennan thinks there's a better witness that should have introduced the text messages. There is no rule. There's no best witness rule in this case. I believe my co-counsel has already made that argument in another circumstance. His arguments, Mr. Brennan's arguments, go to the weight, not the admissibility. He is fully entitled to cross-examine this witness
Even the
about all of
puppers
the
are
points that he
tired of
raises.
Brennan.
And in conclusion, Your Honor, he complains that we have not called Michael Proctor. I think that's the whole impetus for this objection, so that we will call in a witness that they do not have confidence in to call themselves. It's unheard of in a murder case that you don't call the lead investigator, but that's what's happened in this case. We should not be forced to call Michael Proctor so that Mr. Brennan can then cross-examine him and lead him through basically his entire closing argument. He is entitled to call Mr. Proctor in rebuttal. He has every right to call Mr. Proctor again. I would rest on that.
We yelled at each other about this yesterday. They can't just read his prior statements.
Thank you.
Okay, and just the very last thing, there's Commonwealth's motion for reciprocal discovery. Is there any objection to that?
Yes, it's not in compliance with Rule 14.
Okay.
We don't have any written communications with Stedler, and they've asked for all oral communications to be reduced to writing. You turn over, that's not in communication.
All right, so you're saying two different things. So you don't, this information doesn't exist because she has not had communications with you, right?
Written communications do not exist. I'm not saying two different things. Written communications do not exist. They also ask secondarily for all oral communications to be reduced to writing. We would have an obligation to do that. We have an intention.
All right, so I'll get a decision out on that before 4:30, and I'm going to do a little more research on the text messages. Want to be heard, Mr. Brennan?
I thought you were standing up, Your Honor. No.
Oh, no, okay. All right, I'll see everybody Monday morning. Thank you.
What a kiss ass.
Yeah.
Mommy, I love you. I love you. Can I nurse again?
I'll deny it.
I mean, it's
We're
in my
not talking
head
about
canon.
pleading the fifth to texting. We're pleading the fifth to potential illegal things. Remember last time Brian Higgins came with his lawyer as well. Proctor, I don't know. He's a douche canoe.
Yeah.
And even if he doesn't plead the fifth, as they just stated, well, he can then just sit there and agree with everything Brennan, because he's allowed to lead on cross. So he can say, but you did do the bestest investigation in the whole wild world, and no one ever did a better investigation. I agree. So everything the defense just said that you didn't look into, you actually did, and nothing was wrong. Yes. Can you tell the jury that you are probably the best police officer who has ever lived? Yes. Hercule Poirot got shit on you. I don't like that little Belgian.
Well, yeah, I mean, and if anyone has a reason to really, really want to get Karen, it's going to be Michael Proctor. Because of, this case, his career is messed up. His wife's probably pissed off at him, and they've had to eat Great Value Pop-Tarts. So if
she's
anyone wants to
divorced.
screw over Karen, it is Michael Proctor.
Yeah. So I would say as long as you can keep him off the stand and just get that guy, because he knew, oh, I'm fucked if I do anything bad, because Proctor doesn't have anything to lose. He lost everything. But he can lose that cushy special private security job that he absolutely doesn't have lined up a year from now through his friends at the MCP. Because he's fired. He lost his pension. He can't come back as a cop, even though the antis are saying, well, they should rehire him. No, because he was fired because he was a bad cop, not because Karen Reed. But there's someone who has connections to Boston Arena or somewhere need a head of security that'll pay you $300,000 a year. And he will magically get that job if he keeps his mouth shut. Well, he could flip. There's no reason to flip. If he flips, he's done. He will never, ever get a job again. If he shuts up, he will get a cushy job in a year.
Yeah, I just think he's
Not the
a
jury.
hand grenade.
There's no jury who knows anything about it. We know some of them do, but they have to put it in front of the jury.
So how do we think today went?
He don't give two F's about the feds. Everyone stop thinking the feds are going to do anything. The feds are not going to do anything in this case.
Birds and
Everyone
feds
has been
not
telling
real.
me for 2 years now that the feds are going to fix this problem. They're not. They don't care. This is a stupid hit and run case that they were lucky that they caught some problems in. They don't care. If they really believed that everyone was guilty, we wouldn't be here now, because they would have swept them up. And everyone keeps telling me, just wait for the feds. Doesn't matter what he says on the stand. They have all his communications. If they wanted to take him down, they'll take him down, because he's not going to tell anything. Well, he's going to perjure himself on the stand. No, because the state will never raise charges against him. Well, the feds can do it. They don't care about him perjuring himself in a stupid little hit and run case. He'll get 3 years in prison at most. If they want to take someone down, they had been at his house the day he was fired and said, see, all your old friends are not protecting you anymore. Spill the beans, and we will make sure you don't see a day in prison. They haven't done it. Don't trust the feds. The feds won't save anyone. That's why we are lucky that Karen has an amazing defense team.
I was in full support of Baker, but now he has slandered Poirot. I'm going to need all the team.
No, Proctor doesn't like that little weird Belgian. I love Poirot.
What
Oh,
are
is
you
it
saying?
Poirot
Poirot.
or is it
Poirot.
Poirot?
It's
I don't think my mouth does that.
P-O-I-R-O-T, but it's French because he's from Belgium. They speak French. And if you watch all the movies, they say, oh, that silly little Frenchman. And he says, I'm from Belgium. Watch the series. If you have BritBox, David Suchet is a great Poirot. Don't watch the movies with Kenneth Brennan.
It's an Agatha Christie.
Oh, but I love Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah, but
until
he's
he cheated on Emma Thompson, and then screw him.
But Poirot is a great one.
Poirot.
Poirot. I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to overemphasize it, so I feel like I'm Pepe Le Pewing it.
They can't tell that Arca was hired by the feds. Is Giannetti filling any?
Is Giannetti's filing any good? Because that was a shite argument. Makes me want to visit Sweden.
I haven't seen his filing, actually. I only seen the motion to keep them out. They just had motions to allow them in, but he didn't really. I read them yesterday. I can't remember. I bet Poirot would be mad if you tried to tell him the French invented fries. Yeah, because that was the Belgium. Oh, yeah, and his name is Hercule, as you can read.
Hercule.
No, it's Hercule.
Hercule.
All I'm thinking, y'all, is
Hercules,
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 Hercules.
The H is silent in French.
Oh, it's
The
silent?
yeah, and
So
the
it's-
U is a Y.
So it's Erical?
Hercule. Hercule.
Hercule. I'm
Hercule.
saying it. It's like
Hercule.
Jamie when I'm saying pulse.
Hercule. Hercule.
Hercule. Hercule. Bravo.
Hercule.
Hercule.
You guys should
Bravo.
really try to enunciate
Achoo.
your syllables a
I-
little better.
I know, because it feels like you have to talk in the back of your throat to get it to.
Yeah, but that's what we do in Denmark. We talk really
So
way
you
back.
always talk like you're kind of trying to yak something like.
Our favorite sentence to make foreigners say is "rød grød med fløde." All of it sounds like we're about to throw up.
It sounds
What
like
is that? What did you say?
Rød grød med fløde.
Welcome to Fleur.
Rød grød med fløde.
Welcome to Florida.
It's red porridge with cream. Rød grød med fløde.
Pimpernilla, I'm very sorry. I will never attempt any of it ever again because it kind of makes me feel like I'm gonna gag. And not in like a. I'm trying to be okay. I'm just gonna stop talking.
Haktua.
Yeah, they need to read books. I do speak fluent deep throat because I'm Danish.
Nice.
No, there's no H in it. It would be Hercule.
Hercule?
No,
Hercule.
the U is a Y sound. That's why French
Can
is
you
so hard to
spell it
learn because
phonetically?
it's because all of our languages, German, Dutch, English,
Our Germanic.
Norwegian, even that bastard weird mouth movement they call Swedish, are all based in German language. But then you get to the French and that's Latin. And then
Yeah,
it's
they're
get weird.
Romance.
Because they have these accent aigu and all these weird things that changes everything.
I do like that they gender things. I've always thought of a table as being, so it's la mesa in Spanish. I've always thought of a table being feminine.
Okay.
Hercule.
See, I would have.
But Anna
Sort of
Katrina
thing.
Boysen,
Better.
they don't understand the U with the umlaut.
No, we don't
I
have
say,
The two dots is umlaut.
It means
It
like
would
a
have been a
double
lot
O, right?
closer to sounding it out if it was written like that.
Also, umlaut is the name of my punk ska band. We're
Umlaut?
we're getting into death tech metal.
Doesn't that make like the double O sound? Ooh.
No, let's
Ooh.
make a U.
Ooh.
Isn't that
Yeah.
what I said?
Okay.
No, you said a double O sound.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's
Cool.
I love it.
It's
Ooh.
shorter. U.
Okay.
It's like double O's, but only one O. Ooh.
See,
No,
I'm gonna
because double O's
download
would be
what
O.
I'm gonna download Rosetta Stone, and I'm gonna walk in here one of these days just speaking all sorts of Dane Germans, and y'all are gonna be impressed.
Iris was
I
doing
mean,
it when
probably
we were together.
not,
She was
but-
showing me her little app that she learned Danish on, and I was cracking up because I couldn't recite any of the stuff that they were talking.
I know I'm still gonna be on the first one, like my name is. They're gonna be like, deeper in your throat.
Yeah.
How do
Outstanding.
you say
Didn't
yacht?
mean to, damn it.
Outstanding, Mo.
How do you weirdos say yacht?
Yacht.
Yacht?
Yacht.
How the
How do
hell
you-
do you get yacht from this?
I
What
don't
did you
know.
say?
That's just what they
Yacht.
told
How
us.
we
That's what
learned
it
it.
said.
Yacht.
Yeah.
Are you adding the? Why are you doing that?
Well,
Yeah, why you
because
doing all
it's actually the same word as we have for hunting in Denmark.
Well, no
And
wonder
how
you
do
say
you
it wrong.
say it?
You don't even know what it
Well, we
means.
spell it differently, but yeah.
Well, if you spell it differently, it's a different word, correct?
No, that's only in America where every word is spelled exactly as it's said.
Hell no,
Except
I disagree
color.
with that. I before E, except after C, except for the 930 words that autocorrect likes to remind me about.
Exactly. I'm saying it like it's spelled. I've learned that from someone on this panel. Well, we don't say it that way. That's one of the few words we don't, and all the other words that he brought up.
I don't think
Salmon.
that's exactly how that conversation
Okay,
went.
can we
Salmon.
can we all get together and
one's-
blame the
Salmon.
Germans then? I mean,
No
they're the
one
ones that
says
started this
salmon.
crazy
Who says
language.
salmon?
Nobody does.
It's
You
salmon.
no.
He has
it's
to
not.
do because he said every word in America is spelled exactly.
That's not
as
what I said, good sir. What I said is,
Oh
why
my
don't
gosh,
you do
is
like
Baker
us
Brennaning?
and phonetically spell your words instead of just throw letters on a board and see what sticks?
Oh, Baker is hankening. He's taking
What's that?
statements and making them whatever he
Jogged.
says. Yog?
Yeah.
Yuck.
Shots fired.
Yuck.
Yuck.
Is that for hunting? Is that how you say hunting? Hunt?
Hunting in Danish is jagt.
Yuck.
Okay,
That's
I'm
not the
just
same
gonna
word, though.
stop before I get a
But
cease
it's-
and
it's-
desist from
it's-
the EU.
But that's where the word comes from for yacht.
How does that make sense? You're hunting. Here's a big
No,
boat.
because it was a ship size that was
Big
built
boat.
like what do you call it? Customs
An
clipper.
air.
A clipper was a bigger boat, but
Yeah,
was
with
built
the
to
tips.
go. It's a faster boat that can go
Oh,
for
so
customs.
it's like for commando stuff.
No, it's for customs to go and catch other ships. Remember, back in the days, we used ships a lot, so you needed these faster ships to catch up with the merchants. So you had
Oh.
these smaller yacht. Just the more you again. Well, Rule 14 it has an intriguing history back in 1296, where John Brady was on our channel. Yacht is a funny word. No, it's yacht. No, it's not. You're weird. How do you say usurped?
Usurped. Usurped, according to Brennan. Usurped.
Try
So
Hebrew.
if I'm
I don't speak any. I could. Well, I can say shalom. but,
Schlemiel, Schlemazel, I learned a lot from what
Gefilte
was it,
fish.
Laverne and Shirley.
Kafelka fish.
Mensch, Meshuggah, Bris,
I think.
and Mikvah.
Didn't you used to have Jaegers in the American military back before? I think you had Jaegers, because that was light infantry back in the day.
Dragoons?
No, Jaeger.
mounted.
The goons weren't light infantry; they were horse-mounted infantry.
I said that as soon as I said dragoon. I was like, no, they were mounted. I said that.
I don't call Jaegers.
Well, I
I was
absolutely
light
don't-
infantry. That was
Yeah,
what
but
I
you
did.
you weren't. Were you mod in for? Dragoons would be mod in.
Modim? What?
Motorized infantry.
Yeah, mounted mech is what we call it. Mech infantry.
Well, we have mod inf and we have pens inf. So mod inf is
You're like
you are
tank.
in the back of a lorry, you're driven, and you have to walk the last mile to get shot. Panzer inf, you get shot the second you step out of the panzer. because
No,
you
we
get-
had rucksacks and we walked most of the time. Sometimes they gave us Humvees to drive, but usually we had to walk. It's a lot of walking.
Yeah, but the difference between the two types of infantry is one of them has to walk a mile before getting shot. So
Yeah.
because one of them is in an armored carrier and the other one is just in a soft shell truck.
Yeah. We've got a few more options over here because we take our war fighting seriously, but that's a different story.
Yeah, but you still get shot. So it's just how fast you get shot. On that notice, everyone, this has been a day.
It's been a day.
It's been.
I think it's been a good day for the defense because I think they got the bitchiness out in Brennan, and I think that'll turn because AJ was so cool and collected, and the witness didn't go down the rabbit hole with him. That's what Mr. I can't answer a question simply. Imagine if this guy has been Dr. Welcher, he would sit there constantly. No, you're wrong. Because you're saying the wrong thing. He was just, I disagree. And I love
Ooh,
that we
does-
ended the day with garbage in, garbage out.
That was good.
Did Bev get the ruling in? She said by 4:30, but it's Bev time, so I guess 6:45.
I haven't heard it anyway because I've been yelling here, and I don't.
We've been arguing about how to make the proper noises with your throat hole.
Yep.
Who's
The
throat
easy
butthole?
one she was going to rule on, but the major one, she said she'd have to think about it.
Fuba has made another one.
Nice.
He doesn't look homeless enough.
Yeah.
I know, he kind of looks like Cousin Larry from Perfect
I wish
Strangers.
I'm
I'm
just
going to make one where he's got his shoestring belt. Please. That was my favorite. I just love Turtle sitting there and he's like, "Are you wearing a string as a belt?" He's like, just getting all mad.
Listen, Turtle.
Listen, Turtle. That was my favorite thing ever. Listen, Turtle. You can't be interrupting my broadcast.
Ridiculous.
I'm streaming right now.
Hi, Jamie. How are you?
Don't,
How you doing?
well, my father's here doing some lawn work for me, so I gotta go see what he's doing. But join the Discord. We do lots of stuff on the weekends. We have movie
What
night
movies
on
are
Sundays.
there tomorrow?
Sunday is crap.
I haven't
Howard
seen
the
that
Duck.
movie.
What? Just one. Guys, come on. Not Urban Cowboy. It was the other one.
Brokeback Mountain.
Meatballs. Meatballs.
Damn. Meatballs?
Yeah.
Meatballs.
What is meatballs?
That's
I
something
don't know. I've never
sweet.
seen it.
That's what Swedish people make out of horses.
Really meatballs.
I don't know meatballs.
I don't know what the
Hey,
second
guys.
one is. But
I'm Mo from Mo in the Deep End. I do a newsy news stream every morning on the weekdays from 8 to about 8:45, a little bit longer if we don't have trial. It's headlines, true crime, and all the absurd on the internet. And tomorrow, if I'm feeling froggy, I might have one if Baker's not having Stabby Day to give us our Saturday fix. Because news is always absurd and weird.
I'm Valhalla. I have goats. Speaking of which, actually, I have currently a live cam set up in my nursing stall. We have the last two babies of the seasons. One was born, I think, yesterday. The other was born 2 or 3 days ago, something like that. They're very babies. And after these grow up and move out, we won't have another one until the next round of babies. So get over there, check out the goat cam. It's a good time. It's relaxing, y'all.
When
And
do the next round
I
of
won't-
babies come for goats?
5 months after they get locked up.
And I won't be doing a Stabby Day tomorrow because I need to go out and get some presents for people. I need to go get some candy to give away. I won't be bringing any Dracula blood this year because Volsum got a little heated over it last year. Because next week I will be joining Valhalla.
Yes, sir.
Well, I would have, but he has rescinded his offer to pick me up at the airport.
I did not.
I will be joining Mo later in the week. I'll be joining The Expert, The White Rabbit, Shizzy, Kaiser Pineapple, T-Rex, Feral,
Miami Spice,
Miami Spice,
and a gangload of other people.
Iris.
Yeah.
So many more. Come to Friday night live tonight on the Experts channel and find out who will finally be in Knoxville with us next week. If you're one of the ones who will join us in Knoxville, remember Wednesday night we will be somewhere. At that bowling alley that hate.
I think we're going back to main event, I believe.
Yeah, we'll be in main event at Cedar Crest. I think the name is at that area.
No.
Don't listen to me. I just make
Mill.
things up when I don't know anything.
No, Cedar Bluff. Cedar Bluff.
Cedar
Damn it.
Bluff.
Near there.
Cedar Bluff. Hey,
Hey, we
That's
got
what I said.
cedar, and I didn't say cider, so
Isn't Cedar Crest the cross street on Fairview in Canton? Isn't that Cedar Crest?
I think
Yeah,
so.
that's Cedar Crest. Yeah. Well,
I'm going to Canton, y'all. See if
does plane crash when they get struck badly by lightning? I think most things crash if they get struck badly.
yeah.
Thursday, if you are near Pigeon Forge, we will be in Dollywood meetup at the bakery at 11.
Yep.
And Friday.
Park opens at 10. Park opens at 10.
Park opens at 10. It's on your own dime. So we know it's expensive. That's why we had the meetup on the Wednesday. And on Friday, we have a live taping of Friday Night Live, where we will be doing all kinds of shenanigans. I will be bringing some Danish candy. I have some stickers I can give away. And I will not be bringing the kissing booth, but I'm not saying I won't allow you to get to second base. But I'm not promising anything and must be age appropriate. Mo will not allow you to do that. But come join us tonight at Friday Night Live. If I get out of bed, I will be there. Valhalla will be there. Mo, are you going to be there?
I am on kid duty, so probably not.
Lame.
Mr. Mo is helping oldest daughter put up accounts in her very own name instead of having them married to our account because she's moving away. She's the quiet one too. Why is the quiet one moving away? Can't we send
because she can't stand all the noise?
Well, I get her point. I just want to move out with her. That's the problem. Mo's getting her own condo.
Ooh.
But if I find some time between my packing, I might do, I don't know, something. But Sunday, my last stream before going to the airport, remember, at noon Eastern Standard Time, I will have Carl Steinbeck on, lawyer out of Texas who is kind of new to the Karen Reed case, and he has some interesting perspectives. But that stream is already on the YouTube along with all the other ones. Be good to Marissa next week. Brandon will be in chat watching as a hawk, swiping down on anyone who steps out of line. The bar is anything Brandon wouldn't do can get you in trouble.
Is that the bar? Is it?
I think you might want to readjust where the bar's at on that one a little bit.
Look, there's a variance of here to here.
Anything Brandon would do while sober, so the bar is only this high.
Yeah.
Yes, I did examine his lower extremities. That is protocol in any case of suspected impact with a motor vehicle. So I did examine his legs, and I did not see any evidence of an impact site.
Just pin it on the girl, right?